guilty of crime.
And we're back. What is up, everybody? I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and happy Friday. I gotta adjust my lighting. It looks like I'm disappearing over there. So let's fade a little bit more. There we go. All good. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Not only is it Friday, y'all, but we're gonna do a call-in Friday. I bet you guys have been waiting for that. I know I have. So listen up, guys. Come on in. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. And I cut my finger, so I got this like Band-Aid tapes on. Don't worry, I'm okay. All right, listen. So hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. And the goal is up there. What is up, everybody? Let me tell you what we have for you today, and then I'll say hello to everybody. I see you guys rolling in. I just love Friday. So come on, guys. Even if you work tomorrow or not, let's go. Happy Friday. Above all, it's Friday. The vibes are good. My little nephew is going to be born tomorrow. My friend, like family, sister is literally being induced tomorrow. She's 39 years old, and I've been waiting years for her to have a baby. So I'm excited about that. Can't wait until we get the call to go over and see and smell and hug a new little baby. All right. Besides that, guys, listen what we have for today, because there's a lot. Now, obviously, I've been digging into the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case, and the reason I call it Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, why is no one talking about the ransom demand anymore? What happened to that? And then we're going to talk about some of the theories that are floating around, my thoughts, and then you're going to call in with your theories. Now, we were going to do this last Friday, but frankly, I just wasn't in the mood to start getting into all of that. I just wasn't. I wasn't, because I know people are on the extreme. Some people are like, it's the Mexican cartel. And then others are, it's Epstein. And then others are, it's a Trump distraction. But today, guys, it's all good. All theories on the table. Now, those theories are not coming from me. I'm going to make sure that I set everything straight before we ever do call-in. So first, we're going to talk about day number 34, Nancy Guthrie still missing, and what we actually have that's confirmed by law enforcement. Okay, so after we get through day 34, and, of course, day 33, because I didn't cover it yesterday, we'll bunch those into two. And then I've got something for you that's just been weighing on me as far as, and I've said it to you again and again. Why did Derek Colella? Why in the world would he have texted in the middle of an investigation that became freaking international, worldwide? Why would he text Annie and Tommaso in the middle of all that to say, where's my Bitcoin? I'm getting impatient, right? We're circling back to that. Also, we're talking about Occam's razor, and I think the reason that we can't get off of because I see channels all over still blaming Annie and Tommaso. And although I'm not saying that I'm blaming them, I'm saying the sheriff took them off the table only 4 days in while they still have their car. So Occam's razor, guys, is the simplest answer is usually the worst, is the usually the case. Occam's razor is usually the simplest answer. All right. So simplest explanation is usually the correct one according to law enforcement and science. Science doesn't lie. You can't say 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in math. And in science, you can't say this chemical compound plus this chemical compound doesn't equal this chemical compound. Well, law enforcement looks at it in that way too. So, I mean, there's a lot of theories out there, right? There's kidnappings, and there's stranger kidnappings, which are extremely, extremely rare. And in the United States, with most cases being gang related or parental abductions. All right. So Occam's razor is typically what we see. Let's say Occam's razor in this would be, hey, individuals were hired to abduct Nancy Guthrie for a ransom, but she died during the abduction, and these bad guys disposed of her body and aborted the ransom plan. They decided, hey, let's just get some money anyway. And then then other people started hopping in on that and throwing letters at TMZ, etc. Okay, so that's where we are in this case. We are day 34. We have a Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case, but no one's talking about a ransom anymore. And I know y'all have theories. All right, beat Abe. I'm trying to be a member, but forgot my YouTube password, and they don't let me, so I have to fix it. Well, B2B, you should definitely get that fixed because you will want to be a member, especially if we're going to be doing a giveaway at the end of today's episode, which if we can get to the goal, we certainly will, guys. So if you guys can help with that goal, that would be awesome. I have more books to give away. I also sent books to Foxy so she can do Foxy boxes with them in as soon as I try to collect. Exactly. But here's the thing. There's people out there that are trying to collect the ransom allegedly that might not even be connected to the case. So if you're going to do a kidnapping for ransom, you're going to leave a ransom note. And then after that, you're going to try to show proof of life and collect your money, which they stopped talking about that altogether. So how do we have a kidnapping case that no one's talking about a ransom anymore? Kimberly, thank you for starting this off with the $2. Thank you for keeping this case in the spotlight. And guys, exactly what you just said is the importance of what we're talking about today. Now, I'm all over YouTube checking out sorry, all of these just want to play right now at one time. All right, so there's a lot of things, a lot of people talking about this case. There's the people talking about it that are relating aliens to it, and then we got ones that are really just using their FBI knowledge, ex-FBI knowledge, whatever, to look at the realistic, let's say the Occam's razor. And that's why we keep coming back to Annie and Tommaso. Zeros intended. Dad, Jay's best channel on YouTube Live, and blessings to you. Well, blessings to you. Happy Friday. Foxy Amazon, what's up? Allie Callie. Thank you everyone for the condolences and love. I didn't see what happened, but condolences and much love to you, Allie Callie. You know that. Betty, good to see you. Krista, how you doing? Mama Sage kicking number 2 off with the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so very much. By the way, I shipped out all of the books this week, and I hope everybody gets them or got them. All right, Michael, my man, a member for 13 months. That's awesome. Jay and Guilty of Crime crew. Hope everyone's great. And then Cool and Chris is coming in hot with another $2 super chat. Yay, I made it. Happy Friday. We haven't done call-ins since the Madeline Soto case, so you guys are gonna want to put what I say in your back pocket. And then later on, when I open the phone lines up, you can call in. Tornado sirens, internet's hanging in. I hope you don't need to go, but if you do, Michael says, choo choo. Thank you so much for the choo choo $2 super chat. I always get confused between super chat and super sticker. Allie Callie, 15-year-old dog passed away today. Allie's did or yours? Oh, Allie, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're here. And my 15-year-old dog passed away last summer. I think I told you. And then the summer summer before that, my other Bichon. And then the summer before that was my 20-year-old cat. So, I mean, it feels bad no matter what. Prayers for you. Angie, how you doing? Big hugs to you. Jay, your channel's the best on YouTube. We love you and blessings to you and all your members in chat. Well, much love back to you. Let's get into it, all right? Because we got a lot of stuff to get into today. And I really want to take you to theories after we get down to what is happening in this case. And I want you guys to know something that's kind of funny. It's funny, but it's not. So Sheriff Barney Fife, a.k.a. the Pima County Sheriff, he deleted that video that he had out days ago. And by the way, thank you, Cool and Chris. If you received a membership from Cool and Chris, please thank her. Listen, guys, listen. That interview that we were waiting for from the sheriff, Pima County Sheriff, that said, we have hundreds of thousands of cars to look at. Well, guess what? A lot of people were saying, dude, we don't have hundreds of thousands of cars that are driving away at 2 a.m, just minutes after a alleged kidnapping in the middle of the night in Pima, Arizona. He got a lot of criticism, especially for that. So guess what? That video is poof, magically gone. It no longer exists. It got taken down. So now we've got some more things from the sheriff that, Arizona is asking, like Arizona News, etc. So we're going to get into all of it. It's wild. This case just can't get any more crazy than it is. But really, I think the craziness is just the different theories and perspectives and channels that are covering it. Because overall, guys, nothing has changed. Nothing to speak of that hasn't already been in place. Nothing that law enforcement hasn't confirmed has changed. Now, there's a clean law enforcement list that doesn't have theories or any of that, confirmed by FBI and Pima County. And you know what that is? It's not any of these big headliners that you're seeing. It's simply the Nest camera footage of the masked individual, and they're further probing from Google to find out if they can get more. That's the primary evidence that they've given to you. Number 2, the blood drops at the front door. DNA confirmed as Nancy Guthrie. All right, photographed by investigators, and still they got that mat out front that they haven't taken. Can't get rid of. You can't change that. All right, then we've got the glove 2 miles from the home, DNA tested. That's a nothing burger. That was a local restaurant worker, and it's been ruled out. The other glove has been sent off, and we don't have any information yet. Number 4, vehicle activity captured by the neighbor's cameras, reviewed by FBI. A neighbor's camera captured 12 vehicles passing the abduction. After review, FBI determined the footage was a dead end, no leads. Number 5, additional gloves sent for testing. The gloves have not been tied to a suspect yet and are in the Florida lab. Number 6, a full set of evidence photos released by FBI and PCSO, including the masked individual, the blood drops, and then other scene-related stills with packages of evidence. Okay. So I mean, that's really what the evidence is. Camera footage, blood, one glove that was 2 miles away, more gloves, evidence in the house, 12 vehicles that are considered a dead end, one more glove at the lab, and evidence photos that we have not seen yet. All right. So that doesn't change. Just because I come on here and talk to you about theories, and other people are talking about it, it makes no difference on what the motive was, and where Nancy Guthrie is today. So, what is up, everybody? I hope you guys are having an awesome Friday. I hope the weather's not getting you down too much. Jacked up timeline. You got that right, Judy. A jacked up timeline is what we've got. But let's get into all this stuff so we can start talking about what we think happened and kind of stir the pot a little bit listen, the only way that Nancy Guthrie's name is going to stay out there, along with her picture and new evidence that's going to come in, is if we, as a community, continue to cover it. All right. So thank you so much, B2B. B2B just became an official crime crew member. Now, Rosalind said it was reported the information FBI was looking in the neighborhood to confirm an internet outage. You got that right, my friend. But that's because I haven't got to day 33 or day 34. So let me just give you all of that before I continue talking. We're going to recap day 33 and 34. And you know what I had set up first? Nancy Guthrie's investigators question neighbors on the internet issues. Let's go.
We do have more to get to this morning, including the latest on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Today, marking 34 days since she went missing. Savannah came back here and visited everyone here in Studio 1A after yesterday's show. We're going to have more on that emotional reunion a little later for you. But first, there are new developments in the search, including the FBI investigators back canvassing Nancy's neighborhood in Tucson. NBC's Liz Kreutz has more on all of that. Liz, good morning.
Now, remember, a lot of people are going day by day, right? So I love that Nancy Grace is doing day 33, day 34, day 32. Love it. Love the dedication. I'm glad that she has time. I don't, and I have to cover other cases because they need us. Like the two little children that were found in suitcases. One of them was a head that a gentleman found. The lady's now arrested. That needs coverage. All right, Foxy Amazon, thank you for the Guilty of Crime membership. And next week, we're going to get to that coverage along with Lindsay Clancy, who, well, she suffocated all of her children. All right, and that needs coverage. It's coming up. Rocco, good to see you, buddy. 19 minutes late, no problem. You're right on time. All right, here we go. Day 34. I'm going to give you the real deal updates and what law enforcement has said, confirmed, etc. And then we're going to get into theories. And then you guys can call in and tell me what you think your theories are or how you might align with mine. Up to you. As long as you're respectful, we're all good.
Hi, Laura. Good morning to you. Yeah, investigators with both the Sheriff's Department and the FBI were back out in Nancy's neighborhood yesterday, going door to door. 3 different homeowners we spoke to told us the investigators this time were specifically asking them if they noticed any issues or disruptions with their internet service the night that Nancy went missing. They say the investigators told them that several people in the area have mentioned glitches with their internet that night. Now, neither the Sheriff's Department nor the FBI have commented on this, but
Now, they do think there was some type of blocker that they put out in order to cut it out. It stops the internet so people aren't picking up on Wi-Fi or able to pick up on the cameras, which makes a lot of sense, but it also takes preparation. Beat a B. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. You're amazing. And welcome to the crime crew. If I missed anybody, I will get back to it. Clara, never miss you. Member for 19 months. Beautiful Jay, I love you. And I love you too. I cannot wait to hang out with you at CrimeCon 2026. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. And again, thank you, B2B. Appreciate you. All right. If it would have blocked her camera though, right? That's the thing. It wouldn't have blocked the camera. It cuts off the Wi-Fi so that it's not able to stream. And you're right about that. We don't know what night they used that. But it would block the camera, and we did get camera footage. So I'm not sure how we're going to get into that. There's a lot to say about that. Clark, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Love you. Thank you. Choo choo.
Did ask the sheriff earlier this week in our interview if he believed the suspect may have had a Wi-Fi jammer on him, maybe in his pocket. All he would say is that his investigators, along with the FBI, are looking at every angle of that surveillance video. And we should also note that the homeowners we spoke to said that they were either asleep or not home, so they couldn't say if they had any issues with their internet. Meanwhile, we were back outside Nancy's home yesterday, and we continue to see people showing up, dropping flowers, paying their respects. We spoke to people who live here in Tucson and people who said they're just visiting Tucson, who wanted to come by, pray, and send a message to Savannah and her family. They still have hope and that the family is not alone. Laura.
The work continues there. Liz, thank you. And a reminder, if you have any information that could be helpful, it is not.
And I'll leave that up for just a second as we talk about the internet jammer is what they're calling it, or blocker. All right. Hey, Jay, sorry, lost chat. I said, Jay, I apologize. You're all good. Matthew, welcome to the crime crew. Hope to hear from you soon. I mean, internet jammer, if they can find the internet jammer, then they'll be able to trace it back to, right? Trace it back to whoever used it. Now, an internet jammer is a network congestion or throttling it off and on. So that way something doesn't pick up on your Wi-Fi. You're in the neighborhood, you're going on there. But you know what? The term means several different things. It can involve it's signal jamming devices, which can't help under circumstances unless you're trying to do something nefarious. All right. The legal, okay, so you can use that. Like you can use it for your house. Say you don't want your kids using the internet at 2:00 in the morning. You turn that thing off. There's different ones. So it's hard to say which one they're referring to, but when you call it a network congestion or throttling, aka a jammer, that can slow the speeds down, create buffering, drop all connections, and interfere with the Wi-Fi. Why would you do that? So that the cameras would be off, number one, and number two, your devices aren't being picked up on their signal. All right. Now, they call it an internet jammer, but they're trying to ask neighbors what was happening in that. Was there an interference? Did they use that? If so, they can track it back. All right. There's a possibility they can. Cybersecurity is a real interesting thing. And I believe they know a lot more than we do about it. So that's what I'm going to say about that. I would jam the internet all the time, but the neighbors said they weren't blocked. Exactly. And we saw some of that footage. So maybe, just maybe, they tried to use a jammer and it didn't work. Remember the guy now? It makes a little bit more sense when you see the guy walking up to the door and he had to use the shrubbery. Maybe he thought that there was the internet jammer and then he's like, oh, shoot, I see the light going on. I better just be careful and put those up and try to block it anyway. We don't know. Again, we're back to speculation and theory. So we're going to get back to the evidence and then we'll do that. Midnight Lace, hello. Mo says casinos sometimes use them to avoid cheating, okay. All right. Let's continue. They thought it was that could be too. We thought those were walkie-talkies. It could have been a throttle or an internet jammer. But again, we don't know. We're theorizing. And we are going to get back to the actual recaps of what in the heck happened the last couple of days. And then we can get into theories, only because, I don't want to just have pure speculation. I want to give you the real deal, day 34, between 33 and 34, what happened, and then we'll get into theories. Let's talk a little more about that.
In the search for missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, not too much went on today. I'm going to go over everything that has, though. So today, the FBI is now reportedly investigating a possible internet outage in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood around the time that she went missing. One particular neighbor shared that his Ring camera history is mysteriously not available the night that Nancy disappeared. And this right here is a photo of this man's Ring camera that has no footage from the night night of January 31st into February 1st. This right here puts into perspective the distance between this residence where the Ring cameras were not working that night and Nancy's home. You could literally see just the top half of her home. We have seen this with the Sebastian Rogers case. If you've been following that out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, he's been missing a little over 2 years still without a trace. So did someone intentionally cut power to the area or damage a line? If so, in my opinion, that could further suggest that this was not a random attack or a burglary.
And again, guys, we gotta admit, this is more than likely not a random attack, okay? I'm going to continue with the theory or theories that I've had. I've presented a couple, and that's what I'm going to do before you guys chime in and call in your theories. I want you to hear me out in the top 2 things that could have happened. Now, Jacqueline says the sheriff refused any help. I saw that he didn't sign off on the Cajun Navy EquiSearch. I'd be privately hiring them if I was a family member, and the family members are happy to do so. Jenna Bug, good to see you. All right, let's keep going. I will get you there, guys.
Gone wrong, but rather a planned act with the intent to take someone's life while avoiding detection. It is important to note that sometimes temporary outages are completely unrelated to things caused by people. It could be caused by weather, equipment failure, or routine network problems. Regardless, this is still important and necessary for law enforcement to look into. Now, Chris Roach investigates on X made several posts today regarding Tommaso Cioni and Annie Guthrie's home. There's been a lot of rumors about the.
And guys, we're going to double back around to that because, like I said, Occam's razor is the simplest of explanation, and the simplest of explanation is it's somebody close. It wasn't a kidnapping because they didn't leave a ransom note. Whatever they did trying to extort or let's just say financial, they messed up. She lost her life and they took her with and decided to go this route. All right. Somebody paid somebody to do it. And that's why we have other connections. Most simple one. So don't forget Annie and Tommaso. I'm not going all crazy with it, but I want to show you what I mean. Kimberly says, has Tommaso been interviewed on camera? It's interesting in hearing him, his words, his speech patterns, etc. He is not. They have stayed out of the spotlight the entire time. But why does it keep circling back around? And I'm telling you right now, I watched a video earlier with Jennifer Koffendorfer, ex-FBI specialist, that says they can't stop looking at them either. And maybe that's why they still have that car. They got the forensic leads, and the most simple would be a possible extortion or hiring for, money, whatever that money may, however it may come. Welcome, Rebecca. Can you hear me now? That's Rebecca. Good to see all of you guys. All right, let's finish what happened today.
2 of them needing money from Nancy to buy their home, this, that, and the other thing. He shares some documents and kind of puts this rumor to bed. He basically said that Tommaso Cioni has power of attorney over their home. They purchased the home for $379,000 on June 10th, 2025, with a loan amount at $355,000. So they had a $24,000.
So that's where that power of attorney came in, but that one was filed. They found another power of attorney that was between him and Annie that never was filed. All right. So a few bits of piece of information are coming out. But not a lot.
Down payment. He also shared that prior to the purchase of Annie and Tommaso's current home, they lived at a residence on West Niagara Street in Tucson, where they sold that home for $379,000. They only purchased that home for $128,000, so they netted proceeds of about $250,000. So there's a lot of rumors that the couple needed a lot of money to purchase this new home. That doesn't really seem to be the case here. Other than that, really not too much went on today. There was a pool guy at Nancy's home like there has been over the last month or so. Of course, I will continue to keep you guys updated as more information comes out. So make sure you're following me. What are your thoughts on all?
All right, we're going to get into our thoughts. Thanks Matt Thibodeau for speaking up, but we appreciate it and all, but I'm going to get to all of that right now. So let's continue. Yes, I absolutely followed the Delphi case. not only did I follow the Delphi case, but I was excited about being able to discuss ballistics in that case. And as a matter of fact, I showed many people, what ballistics even mean and how a spent shell casing can come out without being used and still be tracked back to a certain gun. You asked me about that. There were dozens of people, internet sleuths, tried to fit the crime. In the end, the perp was someone no one had heard of. Same logic here. And that's a possibility. That is an absolute possibility. However, Richard Allen was at the scene of the crime. He told them that day or right thereafter, he went to the police station and said, I was at that park at the time those girls were unalived. They made note and they never did anything else with it. He told them himself that was their problem that they didn't go back. Had they gone back and saw that this guy connect those dots, and then he did you guys hear did you hear about him also in the Delphi Richard Allen? He did the photographs for the funeral and he gave them for free. So he developed them at the store. He was working at the CVS or Walgreens the whole time. Well, they took pictures from the funeral, and when they got picked up, he's like, oh no, this is on me. The convicted killer. All right. Anyway, don't get me on a tangent about other cases, because then I'm not going to stop. You guys probably don't want me to stop, but I also want to tell you what's happening right now. All right. Day 34, guys. Today is March 6, 2026. And law enforcement agents left the home of Nancy Guthrie. The home was the site of the renewed attention on February 25th. So agents seen leaving the house as the search continues. FBI was back there yesterday. All right. Key points. And we can always hop onto JLR and see what's happening live when we're done if you want. Okay. Key points. The search for Nancy Guthrie, mother of today, co-host Savannah, has seen a few developments. Black gloves found near the home, ruled out as evidence from the DNA testing showed they belonged to a restaurant worker. Big Nothing Burger. All right. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos remains hopeful that 84-year-old is still alive and investigators are making progress. Now, if he really is saying that genuinely, that would be awesome. Say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is alive. Say a prayer. I don't believe that, but it doesn't hurt to have hope. Authorities are investigating new leads on the backpack worn by the suspect, suggesting it may have been purchased secondhand. People are calling in and saying, I've seen that backpack. I know someone that has that. I know someone. So that's good, right? Now, developments in the search for Nancy were sparse. In the 5th week, we're day 34. More than a month has passed since law enforcement officials held a news conference on the investigation. Black gloves that authorities thought belonged to Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper became the subject of the latest news and DNA or release update on the DNA, showing on March 4th that it didn't match. All right, the gloves found 2 miles away, done and done. Lab analysis on the other DNA is still ongoing. Okay, now this announcement came as another public setback in the search for Nancy Guthrie, 84. Although authorities have detained people for questioning, no one's been actually arrested in relation to this case. Let's look at some pictures here if they have any. Oh, wait, I don't. Okay, well, I'm not going to switch off of that. So let's continue. Unless it brings it up on this page, then I'm good. All right, let's continue. All right, so day 34, the latest on the search. Investigators are making progress. That's what the sheriff said. I don't know about Mr. Barney Fife, though. He deleted his old interview. All right, we know February 1st was Nancy Guthrie's last time at her home. That was the last time. That was the early morning abduction. Nanos told NBC he absolutely believed investigators were getting closer to solving the case, with the outlet reporting that a dedicated team from his homicide division was working with FBI on the search for missing 84-year-old mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie. Now, suspect could have purchased the Walmart backpack, Nanos says. I know this sounds like old news, but I want you to know that people are using that and calling in leads. So, Nanos told NBC that the team was investigating various possibilities surrounding the evidence. All right, law enforcement had already collected. For example, after FBI released the video and images from Nancy's doorbell, it showed a masked man at her front door the night she disappeared. Authorities identified that man's backpack as a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack, exclusively sold at Walmart, but Nanos suggests it might have been purchased elsewhere or used. So we've now learned that maybe it was purchased at a Walmart. He told NBC the backpack new is exclusive to Walmart, but who's to say I didn't buy it and put it on eBay? That's what we're looking at. Or they could have had it for a really long time and we never knew about it. NBC does finally confirm Savannah Guthrie's eventual return to the Today Show. I know people are like, how can she go back to work? Well, she needs to, and I would do the same thing, in all honesty. If she's not out there searching, she's got children, and she needs some normalcy, right? She's got 2 children and a husband and a whole life back in New York. Now, Savannah Guthrie stopped by the studio this morning. You guys probably saw that, and thanked her Today colleagues. NBC News said in a statement, while she plans to return to the show on air, she remains focused right now on supporting her family and working to help bring Nancy home. Law enforcement asked anyone with any information about the case to contact 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, those are the updates that you guys can see for today. And then we're just going to do the sheriff talks, what he says, and we're going to get into theory number 1. And the theory number 1 has been mine since the beginning. It's been my theory. When you see if you looked at my thumbnail, you kind of see what my theory is about all the people that have been detained and released. All right. She's keeping her brain busy. Yes, I would have to do that too. I gotta say, I don't work well when I'm sad or upset or whatever. I wouldn't be able to function if I didn't have a job to do. Cat H, thank you for being a member for 8 months. I think I thanked you earlier, but if I didn't, and Nana Rocks, thank you so much for becoming a Guilty of Crime member. All right, so here's a couple things that the sheriff said, updates, and then we're going to get into my theory above all theories. You guys know that. And then my second theory, that it was elder abuse. We're going to talk about the elder abuse theory, and then you guys got a lot to talk about. If you want to call in at any time between the theories, you guys just let me know in chat. Just say, Jay, I want to call in and talk about what you're talking about right there, and we'll let you call in. Otherwise, we'll wait until I'm done, and then you guys can call in. It's up to you. You let me know in chat. Do me a favor, hit that like button, guys. Thank you for being here.
Continue to track the latest on the disappearance in the search for the 84-year-old. A new development today as we learn investigators were back at the house as they search for more clues into what happened to Nancy Guthrie. All this, as Sheriff Chris Nanos says, investigators are going through thousands of hours of video footage from the area. He says they are reviewing traffic camera video near Guthrie's home and ring camera video of a suspect. You've seen it many times from her home the night she was taken. 33 days after Nancy Guthrie has disappeared, many questions still remain. And today, News 4 Tucson's Monica Garcia sat down one-on-one once again with Sheriff Chris Nanos, pressing him on several questions sent.
And this is good because it's hard to get this guy to answer any questions. He's very evasive, and I can't believe he took his video down because he was criticized. He should have just went on record and said, I was being just overly dramatic about it when I said hundreds of thousands. Done deal. But this guy, Barney Fife, goes and deletes it.
To us by our viewers surrounding this investigation. Monica.
Yeah, Sean, all of us know at News 4 Tucson, we've been getting hundreds of messages on our social media pages, emails saying, what about this? Or ask the sheriff about this. And so today we took the most common questions and we did ask the sheriff. And one of them I want to point out is the most recent one. And it's a 911 call that was made the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared. In the call, the dispatcher talks about a woman screaming out the window, hollering for help, and this was within miles of Nancy Guthrie's house. Let's first take a listen to that 911 call.
Now, had you guys heard about that? I want you to let me know in chat if you had heard about that. And Jacqueline, I don't know, but you know what's worse than that is the Delphi case where they've got two different sketches of totally different people. Now that threw everybody for a loop. So whatever they did, I don't know. But I think they've got some pretty active theories they're working on, and you'll see what I mean in a bit. Yeah, I don't know why he's still the sheriff, but he's going to remain that way, it seems. Let's listen to what he has to say and document it in case he decides to delete it.
It's going to be at Oracle and River. The caller is advising they saw a female out of a vehicle window screaming. Then it went northbound on Oracle. The vehicle was a dark gray or blue Chevy Malibu, no plate.
All right, so back out here, a lot of people have been asking about this specific call, and for good reason, right? So as you just heard, it's been circulating all over line, described a woman screaming, hanging outside of a moving car. We spoke to the sheriff about that. We're going to get to that in just a second. And during our conversation, we also asked about other evidence in the case, including the more than a dozen gloves found during the search. The sheriff says the glove found closest to the scene, about 2.5 miles away, was tested and it was eliminated. Other gloves found farther away, he said some 6 to 7 miles away, those are still part of the investigation. They're just not priority. They're still getting tested. So let's get back to that 911 call we asked him today about to see if they had investigated it. Take a listen. Oh, there was a 911 call of a woman overheard screaming, hanging outside of a car the night Nancy was taken. What's the update with that?
We're aware of it. We found those individuals, interviewed them. It was a domestic violence situation that had nothing to do with.
It was a domestic violence situation that had nothing to do with it. Now, remember, in the Tepe case, we also heard a 911 call from the house, and people speculated that it was from the house and it was, the Tepes, but it wasn't. There was no domestic violence, and ultimately, we know who now is accused of doing that. Look at this guy. He's wearing it. He wants to make sure that he's the Pima County Sheriff. He's even got his shirt to tell you so. I am not a fan of him, I got to tell you.
This case at all.
All right, folks. So you just heard the sheriff addressing that 911 call that's been circulating online. He told me they, in fact, investigated it. They investigated it the night it actually happened because they had heard about it. So just one of those things on the list of questions you guys have been submitting to us. In the meantime, he says their big focus is on forensic evidence. And so that's where they stand tonight on the case of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Live from PCSD, Monica Garcia. Sean, back to you.
All right, our viewers with a lot of questions, but also still a lot of support for the Guthrie family. Thank you, Monica. And with that, NBC says Savannah Guthrie stopped by the Today Show for the first time since her mother's abduction and met with her fellow hosts and staff there. Guthrie spent several weeks helping with the search right here before she recently returned to her home in New York City. NBC.
She looks so beautiful. I feel so bad for her. Nobody is a fan. All he gets is deserved criticism. I agree. He's in the spotlight and he's doing a terrible job. Now, I just want you to know, in my theory, Savannah has absolutely nothing to do with this whatsoever. All right. What's up, Casey? How you doing? Mama Sage says hit that like button. The only time he's appeared on camera, he's tried to hide in the car. Second time he held the two women close to him. I think that's to hide the body and the walk he had with the sunglasses. Guys, we're going to get to that next. And she did have so much sadness on her face. I am glad that she's going to return. I think she'll do better being an outreach and being out there. And again, is Savannah Guthrie the reason that Nancy was kidnapped? Because she's her mom, and well, she's well known, by the way. They talked about that today on Court TV, but I'm not going to talk about it with Court TV. I got my own thing for you.
Says Guthrie plans to return to work at the Today Show, but has not said when she's going to be back on the air. And as we continue to cover the search for Nancy Guthrie, be sure and stay with News 4.
All right, I got to ask you guys a question. Let me ask you a huge question. Why would somebody on let's say it was day 4. I'm not sure. I can look up exactly what day it is. Why would a person that knows that there's a kidnapping, that has TMZ and the whole media out there looking for this 84-year-old that could die if they don't find her within the first 24 to 48 hours, what could a person like Derek Colella have to do with this case where he would text separately Annie and Tommaso? You tell me what would Derek Colella get out of that? Was it funny? Did he think, oh, that's a joke? I'm gonna hoax it. I'm gonna do all this work to get Annie and Tommaso's current cell phone numbers and text them and say, where's my Bitcoin? Now, mind you, he got arrested for that, and then they let him out. No one's charged, everyone's detained. Would you give up $8 million a year? Well, sometimes, Beach, you can't give up $8 million a year. That's the thing. Once you have a lifestyle that you're accustomed to, you got to have that. If you're making $8 million a year, then I guarantee you your bills are probably $4 million a year if you're lucky. Whatever you're making, at least half of that is going to your bills, your children, etc. So no, I wouldn't give up $8 million a year because I couldn't, because I need a house for my children. I need cars, insurance, and all that. You gotta keep it going. And I just read an article today that I actually shared with myself, and it's all about Savannah Guthrie and literally her 2 children and her family and how she's incorporated, and about her husband. It's literally everything you need to know about Savannah Guthrie and her kids, Vale and Charlie. Okay, so she is a working mom that needs to make that money and continue with what she's doing. Now, her husband, Michael Feldman, has also been very supportive of her, but if you're looking at the whole picture, you can't just, it's not like she's just saying, oh, I'm going to walk away from it or not. It's not a want to, it's a you got to. All right. So listen, Derek Colella, nobody knows, right? I'm not sure it was not accepting outside agency assistance. It's a cruel truth, but life goes on. Anyone grieves a loss knows that's how it goes. It does. You got to pay the bills. You got to get to work. All right, let's get into theory number 1, which I have made known since the beginning. And I do want you to know that nobody's formally been cleared at all whatsoever. And thanks again to Monk's Behavior for this one, guys. And we got so much more today. Buckle up, buckle in. You might as well, because we're going to be here for a while. And then we're going to do call-ins, and hopefully we'll do a giveaway. Now, Midnight Lace, are you good? I think you missed Foxy's email for a Foxy Bucks. Make sure you're taken care of. All right, let's go.
There was a very apt challenge last time when I said that my black shirt had hair on it. And if
Thank you.
the person said that if I were to even mention a cat, that the only proper etiquette after is to show you the cat. And this is a cat. This is a ragdoll. Let me show you the characteristics of a ragdoll.
He's funny. You got to see this just because it's cute. It has nothing to do with this, but this is called Derek Colella's Catch-22, the double dipping theory. Now, I saw somebody in chat. Was that you? And by the way, thank you, Dolores, so very much for the $2 super chat. I saw somebody earlier talking about the Catch-22 double down theory. All right, but I like this one much better. When you start doubling down on the theory, it doesn't make sense to me. So we're gonna make this make sense, and then I've got something else, and then Well, there's a lot today.
Or I won't be hurting her. She's just weird.
She's so cute, guys.
Now, if you've never experienced a ragdoll before, can your cat do that? Would your cat allow you to just swing them
My cat would have.
around like, I don't know, a toy? No.
All right, you're a goofball. Let's get into this.
That's when you tell a story about a person, or even when you hear a story about
Really?
a person, sometimes you connect, with that person. But there's just something different when you come across something that was theirs, something as basic as this next door profile, right? And you remember that this was something that she took time to craft herself and use, and it sinks in, as weird as it is to say, it sinks in that she was here, that she was just living her life. And I have to be honest, when I was looking at that picture, that Easter picture, right, that only a grandmother would rock, it did kind of sting. So as I was sifting through, here it is, November 25th of 2021. And Nancy was asking whether buying a ring or a nest would be better for watching animals at night. Okay, someone came in with a trail camera would be good. Somebody else came in with a ring camera.
I love that he's doing this and going back, because I've been doing that massively lately. And I think that's why the episodes have been running for, 2.5, 3, 4 hours, because once you get into this TikTok, X, Reddit, and you start finding the things that are real, coming from real neighbors, real family, oh my God, it's like a tunnel. You're just in a straight deep dive of what did I look at and what should I tell them. Dolores Renteria, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. You guys, please thank her if you receive that membership. Thank you so very much. All right, so here is Nancy trying to decide. And by the way, this is public. Mind you, Savannah is famous and Nancy is right there with her, being on TV. People know the restaurant she goes to, etc. And she's on social media asking, should she buy a nest or a ring? Someone should have said, hey, you should make sure you get a subscription on that and keep it. But that's how public this stuff is.
Have one and they love it or whatnot. And as we know, Nancy didn't go with either of them, right? She went with a Nest camera. And I could sort of see why this thread wasn't that helpful for her, because I guess this lady right here, bless her soul, but she was talking about skunks for about 3 paragraphs. So I think Nancy checked out and just went to go buy a Nest camera. And with this, we could assume that Nancy got her Nest camera around the beginning of 2022, making it about 4 years, right? A solid 4 years that she had this camera for, up until the time that she goes missing. Now, an interesting thing to know as well is, who installed it, right? And if she started a subscription. Now, it's only $100 a year for a standard plan, which I'm assuming Nancy could get by. That would be light work, right, for her. Now, I do not think I'm going out on a limb to say that Nancy would probably want a subscription for this camera. Now, I know she's not getting it for security purpose, but she is getting it to see wildlife at night. You will want saved videos of that, unless you're just, ready to stay up all night and stay.
Right? Isn't that interesting? She bought a camera to maybe see wildlife at night, to make sure also that there's no skunks coming around. If they do, she'll see them, etc. All right, but that was 4 years ago. So what happened? Did she have a subscription and then maybe she got fraud charges on her credit card and forgot to put it back on there? That's what happens to me. That kind of stuff will happen to me when I lose a subscription, because I forget to put it back. But other than that, that doesn't make sense. If she's doing that, why didn't she have a subscription? And guys, I assure you that Google has some stuff that we don't know about, all right, in this case.
There at a live stream of your front yard. I just don't see it happening, right? So with a subscription, you wake up in the morning to countless clips, watch those sneaky coyotes, what they were doing during the night. I think there is a good chance that she did start with a subscription with the Nest camera. And I know a lot of you know what I'm trying to get at, and that is when and why the subscription is allowed to lapse. If you think about $100 a year, it's not going to break Nancy, okay? It's not going to break many of us, especially when security is involved. You put in a credit card and it's renewed every single year. I don't think we'll ever know this, though, okay? Unless the FBI gets a warrant for that. And it would be just an assumption, given that Annie and Tommaso were designated caretakers of Nancy.
Now, again, mind you, Occam's razor says that somebody paid somebody else to kidnap Nancy for either extortion or something, and they accidentally killed her. She accidentally lost her life, and here's the outcome. Okay, so with all the crazy theories out there, This does make a lot of sense, but just wait because there's more. Kimberly, the most comprehensive coverage on YouTube. Well, thank you. That was very nice of you. I should have paid you for that. Thank you for this $2 super chat. With all the crazy theories out there, he makes a lot of sense. And just wait, there's a lot more. But I hope that this makes sense to you today. And everything that I say and present to you, I hope you guys at least say, yeah, I think so. This is not too far off.
Possibly having power of attorney, I keep hearing, and that's completely plausible, okay, that it would be, let's say, Annie looking over her Nest subscription. And this would also open up another question. Would Annie's house have security cameras as well, right? Now, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But I'll say many things are going to be corroborated that night if they did, okay, such as when their cars leave or when it returns home. Because I always mention it, a few people in the comment section were kind enough to tell me that Annie's car and Tommaso's car is still impounded by the FBI. If this is...
Now, mind you, they've been telling us they're going to release it back today. Has anyone seen the release of the car back just yet? And again, we're doubling back around to Derek Kalela, all right? And what would make him do that? Not to diss you, also make a lot of sense to not to. Oh, no, you're good, Beach. You are all good. I am secure with what I do, and I love presenting other creators because I could say exactly the same thing he is, but in the way he presents the idea, it's the same thoughts that I've had, but he's just presenting it really properly, and I love it.
True. Then I have a question for Sheriff Nanos. When has the innocent people that have been cleared by you ever had their vehicles detained for this long?
Patricia,
it's been 22 days. Now, I'll say, aren't they now being victimized again, per your own words, by losing their car? The only car that I think they have. But then it occurs to me again, it was the FBI that took their car because they have not cleared them. Now, let's talk about the other person that has not been cleared, okay? And you guys all know him. You know, he's a musician, right? He's a rocker and a roller. And his name is of Italian descent. That's right. Derek Kalela. When you're
and I'm going to pause it on there for just a second because I think this happened. I don't think. I know this happened early on, and many of you guys have been confused about who the hell is who. And you got to remember the band didn't want any more attention. So the band completely took their social medias down. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy did. This looks like a mugshot, but it's his ID, right? This is the man that went out of his way to find Annie and Tommaso's separate numbers and text them, hey, where's my Bitcoin? I'm getting tired of waiting, or we're getting tired of waiting. Okay. I don't know. That is I don't ask me that, Cool and Chris, because then I'm going to have to talk crap. And I don't want to offend anyone, so let's go.
MV photo looks like a mugshot. You might be up to no good. This man has been charged for fraudulently stealing $10,000 in unemployment benefits, a charge that just happened back in October of 2025, and he has a court date set for March. This is a fresh wound to Kalela's pockets. Now, to his credit, I was not able to uncover any other previous crimes, but within his 42 years, given this current track record, I'd say, man, he must have stole a pack of gum or something. Now, to compound his idiocy, he also is the man that texted Tommaso Cioni and Annie Guthrie separately, asking verbatim, did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction.
I've been so stuck on why somebody would do that. Okay, now I have some pretty like raunchy friends that would do some shit. Or I have pretty raunchy friends I haven't talked to in a while that I'll get a text from that's like way off. Like, how do you even know my number? I haven't talked to you in a long time. But what would make him do that? What would make him do that in a case like this and get himself in trouble? He looks like a lost who accidentally grew up. He's the guy in the video footage. Let's continue. All right. We are still doing call-ins. Don't forget. We're going to do call-ins later on, so put your thoughts in chat and put them in your back pocket.
This would happen 4 days after Nancy goes missing in the midst of the fake ransom notes to TMZ and local news stations. Here was Derek Kalela watching on, thinking, look at these amateurs. I'm just going to text them directly. This is the part of the case that always baffles me because I'm wondering, Okay. Is it that easy to pull someone's phone number from the internet, especially people that seemingly have locked down most of their contact information, right? Including social media. Now, personally, I've never tried. I guess I have to see it from a fraudster's perspective and determination, I guess you could say.
And it's not hard to find that, I gotta assure you. And this makes a little bit more sense about why he didn't text the golden goose, which would be Savannah, right? Instead, let's just go to TMZ. But again, I don't think this is just one person, and probably not even two. There's some stuff going on out there. I think the probability that Nancy is deceased has taken the urgency off the sheriff. He's just blasé about it all, right? Right? He's been like that since day one. He actually botched the first 24 and 48 hours.
He told the authorities that he pulled the family's information from a cyber website. That was it, and that was all, as vague as can be. So of all ransom scammers, he has to be the only one that was able to get the family's number. And the way he was caught is mind-numbingly dumb. And we have a whole theory to wrap around it so that it can make sense. Not only did he send Annie and Tommaso each a text message individually, guys, 3 minutes after that, he directly called one of them. They're not telling us who.
See, and I didn't even know that. I didn't even know he picked up the phone and called that. All right, that's awesome. Gracie, I had a good video on Tommaso walks up. Oh, I did that too, girl. What are you talking about? I did the same thing. What happened? You missed that, Gracie? I'm not a fan. But I got that on my channel too. So if you guys want me to show you after, I certainly would love to. All right. You see his video from last night regarding how far the ties between Kalila? Yes, I did. I absolutely did. But nobody else probably did. So I wanted to show you these two. Now, in the video he did last night, just gives a further connection. All right. Thank you, Cool and Chris. I just have some creators I am not a fan of, and that is one of them.
I'm assuming it's Tommaso. I'm just going to read this verbatim from a court doc, okay? Kalila called a family member of the NG, which lasted 9 seconds. He uses a voice over IP, and that generates you a whole new phone number, right? So that he can't be traced. Kalila must have been playing hooky from Scammer 101 because he literally signed up that voice over IP number with his actual email. And that is not even the most outrageous of them all. Because I need to let you guess what his email is. Take a moment. How many detectives, when they uncovered this, just looked at each other and just...
Exactly. That is wild, right? He just, no kind of F's given, right? I don't even have documents. I'm not sure. This probably on Reddit somewhere. I was trying to pause it right on the document. Darren Kalila probably at gmail.com. All right. And after this, I'll show you that video. No problem. So you can see the side by side. All right. Yes. First name and last name. And he texted, where's the Bitcoin? And then he called. I wonder what they talked about. And I wish we would have saw more of these documents. All right. Anyhow, let's continue.
How many detectives, when they uncovered this, just looked at each other and just busted out laughing? The Nancy Guthrie case has brought us so many colorful characters, if only just to remind us that you don't have to be smart when you are lucky. So let's get to our working theory. So we all know it's really hard to make it in the music world, right? To get your art out there and actually impact listeners, a vast amount of listeners. So for a lot of people, it turns into a great hobby, right? 50-year-olds rocking in their garage with their bands. And to be honest, I find that stuff kind of endearing, right? I find it pretty awesome even. I know a 90-year-old man. He is my father-in-law's sister's husband, 90 years old, and he is just taking up the French horn. He tells me he's taking up the French horn. He's taking classes. He shows me YouTube.
I mean, my theory from day one has been that there's some kind of connection with Annie and Tommaso. Not necessarily. Well, yeah, because they're in debt. Number one being rumors that were flying around about Tommaso having a gambling habit. And then Annie, she's a poet, right? She's a poet and they don't make that much money. They just bought the house. Rumors are they haven't paid it yet. And they're the top two people that take care of, so to speak, Nancy Guthrie. Now, another thing I want to tell you, I know people were saying elder abuse because there was a card on the door that was like, hey, if something's going on, call. we think that was just a formality. Now I'm looking everywhere, and when I say we, law enforcement and many of these experts say that it would be typical if something like this happened for a elder care or like kind of like CPS worker to just go by and drop a card on the door to make sure they covered their bases. So we don't know this yet, right? Everybody's hoping we forgot this. How are we going to forget about Derek Colella? Day 4 and day 5 was when Sheriff Barney Fife said the family was clear.
Videos of someone playing the French horn. And I admire this man dearly because I never want to think of age to be a factor for loving something. So here's Derek on his YouTube channel, and hey, he looks a bit like Colin Farrell, doesn't he? And he's jamming, right? His music videos are pretty much low effort, a very strange, eclectic kind of sound, you say the least. It's rock though, right? And I'll just say that it's not my cup of tea because, hey, I listen to the French horn. So in the world of underground rock, you get gigs, you play in small clubs, right? You run in a circle of like-minded rockers, I assume. Okay, so in our working theory here, there is a channel that connects two rockers to each other. And through the grapevine, they happen to exchange numbers. It's just a story because really there is no way for me to know how they would ever be in contact with each other.
Exactly. There is no way for us to know, but we do know that they are. And we do know that Derek Colella did in the documents. Not only did he get charged, but he reached out to them with those text messages. I like that you guys are laughing about the blow up dolls. About them. I know. All right, let's continue.
Which is probably why they are in cahoots in this working theory because of the lack of past connection. Wouldn't it be interesting to know when Colella saved that contact information of Thomas Sioni and Annie Guthrie? Because it clearly is in his phone, but when? And I'm sure the FBI has already plugged his phone into that thing called Cellbrite, where it pretty much extracts everything about your phone, and they know.
But I want you guys to know that when you have to get a warrant like that to extract things from people's phone and to extract the data that goes far back, it takes some time. Hence why people that were detained and released may not have received their phones back. So nothing that Barney Fife says can be taken that seriously. And the whole day 4, the family's cleared, nothing else but that on the same day that Derek Colella texted them about the Bitcoin, I'm not buying it.
Everything that you've done. And if they did find a connection to, say, Tommaso or Annie, I think that's information that they are going to keep very close to the vest. Yep. Because that would mean that Colella is just basically a hired hand.
There you go.
And they will wait for the actual wolf. So Colella, in our working theory, is drowning his sorrows away by making music, right?
And again, guys, you go back to FBI and all the just different discussions on Duty Ron and all the channels. They're having big panel discussions all day, all night. I'm seeing the lab and all these people are having these multi-panel discussions with ex-FBI, current, etc. And I'm telling you, the number one theory is the most simple one. All right. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one. And in this predicament or this case, they believe just from the bottom level, people were hired to abduct Nancy for ransom possibly, and she died during the abduction. Now, the bad guys still wanted to get their money, but they disposed of her and they aborted that ransom plan. And they hoped to get a buck or two. But then other people started catching on and sending letters into TMZ as well. All right, let's continue. That's the most basic explanation.
And he is down and out after being busted for defrauding the government for nearly $10,000. And out of the blue, he gets a text from a name he's nearly forgotten. And this person was asking if he was looking to make some money. And we already know Derek really wants to make.
All right. So now we're talking about Derek and money. And I want to tell you guys, like Nana Rocks, for instance, listen, Nancy Guthrie has been in that house since 1975. Okay. She probably picked up that house in 1975 for $30,000, $40,000, which means her house was probably paid off when her kids were growing up, which means that she's got a lot of equity in the house. Being there from 1975 into 2026, you're damn skippy. You're going to refinance your home 3 times to get the interest rates and pull some equity out. I've been at my house for 18 years. This August was 18 years. Now we still owe, almost 200,000 on it, but you don't think in 18 years that we haven't refinanced the house to get lower interest? Now, all right. So just think of it that way. Okay, 85,000 and it's now worth over $1 million. All right. Let's continue.
Money. However, this communication was rather wild for Kalela, right? It was to be a kidnap and ransom. However, the woman he was kidnapping was not meant to survive. The woman he was kidnapping was the man's mother-in-law and the 84-year-old mother of Savannah, Guthrie. So I call this working theory the double dipping theory, and it's one that's been developing in the back of my head for ever since this story about Kalela came out. Because
and me too, I have not been able to get that out of my head. And when Sheriff Barney Fife said they were cleared, I dug deep to find a written statement and any evidence that they actually are cleared, and it just doesn't exist. To shovel money for Annie and Tommaso's home they just bought for $650,000. There's another one. Bottom line,
it never made sense. Now I get that, maybe getting to Savannah is a little harder. She is a celebrity, and her information, I guess, is more protected. But what about Cameron Guthrie, the retired Air Force brother? I mean, you could try to contact him as well. I mean, 3 out of 4 is still pretty good. But instead, you only message the 2 people that don't seem to be making much money at all. Now, I will say, maybe you're just using them to get to Savannah, right? Because she has all the money. And that would be the only way I see it. But the wording of the text, guys, is very problematic. Let me read it to you again. Did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end. All right,
I'm going to leave that up for a second. I wanted to put that on the title today. And I want to make sure you guys, we have 306 people here. That'd be awesome if you guys are going to call in later on. All right. Is anyone going to call today? Let me know. That way later on we can get prepared for it. All right. Did you get the Bitcoin? We're sick of waiting on our end for the transaction. Deb, so why do these younger kids talk so fast? I've got it sped up so we have more time to listen to more. And I do talk fast. All right, let's continue.
We're waiting on our end. I genuinely believe that Kalela is expecting a payment when you hear something like that, because doesn't it sound more like a reminder by Kalela, who's getting impatient? Remember, he's broke. He has an impending court date, for fraud. If he was really looking for a ransom, or if he was just planning a prank for a ransom, wouldn't that text message sound more like this? Something like, I have Nancy, I have your mom, don't F with me. I want this amount of money and I want it by this time.
Right? He said it as if they already knew and they had already been communicating. All right. I don't talk fast. Definitely not. It would be interesting if Annie and Tommaso asked Savannah for a loan recently, right? Well, that's why we're going to have call-ins, because you guys get to call it in. And I'm glad you guys are starting to see what I'm seeing. All right. How about hitting that like button? It's free. But I also want to let you know I'm about to gift 5 memberships. So please make sure your memberships are on, and I'm going to gift them while we continue to hear about this, because again, that doesn't make sense. If I were to get a text message that said, "Oh, I'm getting sick of waiting for the Bitcoin. Where is it?" I'd be like, "What are you? What? What's going on? Wait, who? What? How?" All right, just saying. I wouldn't already know what they were talking about. All right, let me gift y'all some memberships while we listen to this.
Doesn't that sound like what it's supposed to sound like? Now that is Ransom 101. Okay. Now compare that with, do you have the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. If
they already had a plan.
Prank, what in the world does the fraudster Derek have to gain from this?
And you guys keep that in your back pocket, because I can't get it out of mine. What does Derek Kalela have to gain? Period. Just ask yourself that.
Nothing. He's inserting himself into a massive criminal investigation as a known criminal himself. He's either the stupidest man alive, or he actually did the crime. So, in my opinion, in my working theory, Annie and Tommaso have to be involved for it to make any type of sense. Remember, Annie and Tommaso are being protected by the sheriff, not being looked at as suspects per the sheriff's own words that he cleared them very early on. So this is 4 days into the investigation. He's already cleared them by this point. So I want you to picture.
Yeah, but 4 days into the investigation is also the same time Derek Kallela was arrested and sent out those the little ransom text. So you tell me how he went from getting this text and then a phone call. I didn't even know he called them to clearing them on that same night. All right, there you go. Yeah, hit that like button. We have 307 people in here. We can't have that many hate watchers because I don't have trolls in here blasting me. So if you could hit that like button, I'm going to give away memberships. It gives you a better opportunity to get a membership. It's fake kidnapping that went bad, like in the movie Fargo, right? Okay, let's continue.
Sure. If Tommaso is involved, okay, imagine the sweat that would be beating down his forehead when he receives a text from that dumbass Kallela. What Kallela is not taking into consideration is that Tommaso and Annie haven't been cleared by the FBI yet. So anything coming from his phone in the future is evidence.
Welcome.
And there it was. A text, a direct.
Welcome Carissa Keem to becoming an official YouTube Guilty of Crime crew member. I also gifted 5 memberships, and Cool and Chris just matched me with 5 more. So we got 10 new memberships out there. Plus Carissa, that became a new member. And Cool and Chris has been a member for 2 months, and we're very happy to have you here. All right, let's go.
Linked to the culprit. And not only this, he messages Annie as well, incriminating her. Now, Tommaso is a smart guy. Okay, we have to give him that. The great manifester, right? So he immediately calls the FBI and tells them that he got a ransom request and proceeds to show them the worst ransom note. It's up there with the Jean Benet ransom note. And they read it. Do you have the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. What can Tommaso say? He can say, FBI, sir, I have no idea where this is coming.
Because you know they were already looking at his phone. I want you to know they already were looking at their phones and they had their vehicle by that time. Can you freaking imagine? Can you just imagine this? Imagine sitting there next to Savannah and all the people and you know, you're crying and being sad about your mom. And you get this text message from a person that you already know that says Derek Kallela in his phone, or maybe it didn't come up, but on their phone on his phone had their names. Imagine that. Imagine that. What would you say? Well, I would say, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Here, FBI, take my phone. I didn't do this. Here you go. But it doesn't mean I'm telling the truth either. But that's what I would do. What else would you do? What are you going to say? Oh, well, let me give you my hand. Just handcuff me now. You caught me. A lot of mistakes in this case.
The reason why I call this the double dipping theory is because of this angle that might only make sense to me. Okay. So if Tommaso and Annie are involved, that means it's for the inheritance. Now, think of it from Kalella's perspective if he wants to be involved.
And that's my theory. I've always thought not just the inheritance, actually not the inheritance. When somebody goes missing like that and you don't find their body, it takes forever to get them declared dead, especially with life insurance money, what have you. However, if you're already a caretaker for your 84-year-old mother and you have the right to help her go into the bank and do this, or power of attorney, or just the person that knows if something happens to mom, you've got to now handle her house. You got to move in and watch it if something, etc. You're those caretakers. Okay. You have direct access now to her funds, her assets, etc. All right. Because I just want to, when people say inheritance, I want you to know that without a body, you're not getting an inheritance. And then when the body does come, if it ever comes, if they ever find it, they're going to side eye you hard as you start writing checks and moving into mom's house. All right, let's go.
He's risking life in prison and possibly execution here. And splitting an inheritance is not enough for Kalela, okay? It's already being split 3 ways amongst the kid before it even gets to him. So,
Thank you.
to sweeten the pot,
Thank you.
the clever Tommaso, the great manifester, suggests that he will pay Kalela a flat fee, let's say a Bitcoin, but you have to keep Nancy alive long enough so that you can give the family proof of life. And from that, you stand to make millions. They will pay for Nancy. I promise you. Just ask for Bitcoin. They pay. You cash out. She dies. You disappear. So in the double dipping theory, you have inheritance and a scam ransom.
And that's why I ask you, what even is this? Why is no one talking about the ransom anymore if this were a kidnapping and a ransom? And don't worry, guys, there's so much more for you today. You think we're onto one thing, and then I'm going to pull you on another, and then another. Right after this, I'm going to show you that side by side so you know that I have it on my channel. You don't have to go to the other one.
After proof of life. And it was all going great, wasn't it? Except Kalela forgot something. He forgot Nancy's meds, and he couldn't keep her alive, but for, say, a day. So proof of life was gone by day 4. And because there were so many charlatans in the world doing the same exact thing, he couldn't even get his ransom out to the world because with no proof of life, he had nothing to stand out from the others. Kalela has absolutely nothing. No Bitcoin, and is going to jail for that prank ransom call. And if we're basing it on reality,
he's going to jail for that prank. He's now facing multiple charges for a prank that he committed. And remember, this guy already has a background. Okay. You say as of March 2nd, Annie's car's with the FBI, and it still hasn't been released. Now, Kelly says do not need a body after 7 years. But yeah, the family can have you declared deceased. Actually, they could do it before that here in the United States. But I got to tell you, if you're the person that committed the crime, either you're Corey Richins or you're just stupid. Because if you're watching the Corey Richins trial, she tried to pull all that stuff off with her husband that she allegedly fed fentanyl to. All right. And guess what? If you're watching the trial, she is so guilty. And as a matter of fact, Eric Richins' sister said, I'm not going to release the house or the money or let her have access to anything until the autopsy comes back. And guess what happened when the autopsy came back? There were fentanyl in his system. All right. There you go. Let's continue. Yep. Deb's got it. Ding, ding, ding. Again, we're talking theories here now. First part of the show, I gave you all the information up to date that is that has been put out by law enforcement. Now we're into the second half, theories.
Okay. He did the world's most mind-numbing prank, okay, with the worst ransom text known to man. And the more I think about this, the more absurd it sounds, and the more this theory makes sense to me. My name is Monks. Now go protect the ones that you...
Go protect the ones you love. I love it. I love it. And then I'm going to show you that, like, the side by side real quick. Let me make sure I take the music off. Again, it was kind of a 70-30 split. I think there were people that were like, nah, Jay, nah, but it's just hard to unsee. Now, I am not suggesting that Tommaso Cioni is that guy, but it's just hard to unsee it. And the only reason I'm playing it is because somebody came on my channel and told me that another channel had it. But I brought this out here like days ago. So let's just watch this real quick. This is them. This is Savannah, Tommaso, and Annie visiting the memorial in front of the house, putting flowers down. And you've got the perpetrator on the night that the shrubbery came out, not the other one. All right, no music because it's too loud. But if you're talking about that one, that's the side by side that shows the walking, the body posture, etc. All right. So again, we're just looking at that. And guess what, Grace? You think that's an interesting theory? I've got another one for you next. And I'm doing it this way so that y'all can call in at the end of the show and tell me what you think about anything. You might have a totally different perspective. You might say, Jay, I know the Mexican cartel. I have family members and blah, 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 or whatever it might be. All right. Right. A prank. All right. We're just going to watch it one more time. And then I'm going to move on to the next, which these two things align. The question that may solve this whole case is why Nancy Guthrie. All right. But again, this perspective is wild because this guy does zero drama. And as a matter of fact, his tone just stays like this. He doesn't do breaking news or any of that. It's just strictly by the book. All right. So there you guys saw it. All right. Now I'm done showing that. All right. I showed it. We're done. We're going to move on to not my face being so big. And let's take a look. Again, this guy is Brew Crew Beyond 50. And he does not, this came out yesterday, he does not really have a range. He'll tell you just buy whatever they have. Just by the evidence. Check this out.
Question in the Nancy Guthrie investigation that investigators, they've been trying to answer from the very beginning. Not where she is or even who did it, but why? Why Nancy? Why was Nancy targeted? Why this house? Why this family? Because I believe when investigators understand why a victim was chosen, they get much closer to understanding who the offender is. I mean, Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old grandmother, a woman with limited mobility, and a woman who relied on medication to stay healthy, a woman who depended on a pacemaker just to keep her heart beating. And someone made the decision to go to her home in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning. Someone approached that house deliberately. Someone entered that property deliberately. And someone...
Just the facts. This is not a theory. This is completely why was Nancy Guthrie the target of this? All right. Why her? Why her? Because Savannah Guthrie and her just did a big show not too long ago together and they saw her, or they saw Savannah getting her vocal cords done so she could be on the show, and they're like, damn it, I didn't want her coming back. I can't stand her. All right. What? I ask you, I mean, your theories don't have to align with anything I'm showing or saying today. It could be completely different.
Removed Nancy Guthrie from her home. That's not something random. That's a choice. You have to make a choice to do this. Today, I just want to walk you through the thinking that investigators may be using to understand that choice, because there's an angle to this case that most people following in the headlines, they would never even consider. And it involves Savannah Guthrie's public role on national television and how investigators...
And again, that's my second theory. If it's definitely, in my mind, it's definitely a targeted attack. Somebody knew the routine, knew the layout, but there's not just a somebody, there's multiple somebodies in this case. And I guarantee you that there's going to be more people than one ultimately that do get arrested. I keep saying they have the same physique. Why are you laughing at me? Hit that like button. All right.
Sometimes they have to look far beyond the crime scene itself when they are trying to determine motive. And we're going to talk about that today. But first, we have to start with the question that may ultimately unlock this entire case. Why Nancy? We are now weeks into this investigation. Nancy.
And again, we're day 34. He did this on day 33.
Guthrie, she is still missing. Law enforcement agencies, they've been working this case around the clock. Thousands of tips come in. Doorbell cameras across the area have been reviewed. Vehicles moving through the neighborhood, they've been analyzed. Digital evidence is being processed. Forensic evidence is being examined. And behind the scenes, something else is happening that the public rarely sees. Investigators, they're studying the behavior of the offender, because criminals, they leave evidence in more ways than one. They leave physical evidence, but they also leave behavioral evidence. The time that they choose, the risk that they take, the victim that they select, and just the way that they move. And all of that tells investigators something about the person, responsible for this. When detectives work a case like this, they come back to the one question over and over. Why this victim? Because victims are rarely chosen randomly,
Right. Yesterday we talked about that, and I said 75% of the time it's people that you know or that have covered you, work for you, etc. All right. And somebody hopped on and said, no, Jay, it's 90%. So that makes it even more. Yeah, I don't think a cartel would risk an 84-year-old old lady. But here's the deal, Cool and Chris. Not only do I think that they wouldn't risk that, they would not in a million years send a ransom note to the news stations or TMZ. That is not how they roll. But hey, going to break. Don't do call-ins yet. I'm not. We're not there yet.
There is usually a reason for a certain victim in a case like this. Sometimes that reason is opportunity. Sometimes it's just anger, and sometimes it's obsession. Sometimes it's control. But there is almost always a reason in an abduction case. And in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, you have to consider two very different possibilities here. Now, the first possibility is that Nancy Guthrie was targeted because of who her daughter is. Savannah Guthrie, she is one of the most recognizable journalists in America. She appears on national television. Millions of people watch her every morning. Now, that vast majority of viewers simply, they watch the news and then they go about their day. But when someone is that visible in the public eye, it also means there are people out there who develop unusual attachments.
And guys, that happens. Clark, you've been here for long enough to know that I came on this platform even though I'm 46 years old, I came on this platform like I was 10 years old and I didn't know better. I had all my social media accounts up. Sometimes Baby Guilty would come on. And then after I hit 5 or 10,000 subscribers, now we're at 33,000, I started getting attacked. My attack went on to my old Instagram, my Facebook account, they even went on to my mom's Facebook and attacked and pulled stuff down I didn't realize that would happen. Now, Savannah Guthrie gets millions of views every time she's on that show, millions of views. And not only that, she parades around her mother quite a bit and they hold hands and they're close and she goes on the show. So out of pure I don't like you, I can't stand you, you ignored me, whatever, that could have been the case with them. Again, it's not somebody random, though. It's somebody that knows the patterns of how they move, where, what, etc. What's up, FloJo TV? I hope you're doing really well. Happy Friday, buddy. All right. Yeah, that happens. I had no idea. But Squeaky Will, we don't really know for sure that the perp spent 41 minutes inside the house with her. We don't know that. And I'll tell you why later. He dragged her out and made her disappear. When he dragged her out, he also dragged his DNA deposit. It is what it is. Yes, agreed. So what happened? All right. What happened?
Obsessions, grievances, resentments, sometimes anger. Investigators, they cannot ignore that possibility because someone who develops that kind of fixation may start looking for ways to hurt the person that they're focused on. Here's the problem for someone who thinks that way. Savannah herself would be extremely difficult to reach, for security reasons.
And I was thinking, but you know what? They would be able to reach her if it was somebody on the inside, and they completely didn't. They went to TMZ and the local news stations and Annie and Tommaso. Now, Dan Thorax, we're going to have call-ins when we're done here. We're going to have a call. We have a call-in number, and we want to hear what you have to say. So stick around, because if you want to call in, I'd love to hear your gumshoe detective work that you're referring to. Thank you, FloJo, for the $4.99 super sticker. My guy, go sub up to him if you haven't already. All right. The dog had got poisoned. That's how he passed away. Yeah, I don't know why people are asking about the dog so heavily. Did I miss something about the dog that has to do with this? And thank you, Cool and Chris. I do appreciate you. Sure, a lot nicer than other rooms I've been in. Awesome, Laura. Welcome. So, wow, you guys in this room are sure a lot nicer than other rooms. You're the best. Well, thank you. We pride ourselves on being good people. Why would you want to be nasty to people?
Visibility, professional protection. But someone looking to cause emotional harm might start thinking about someone else, someone close to her, someone important to her, someone vulnerable. And that brings investigators back to Nancy. Now, here's something that most people watching this case would probably never even consider, but investigators absolutely do. If there's even the slightest possibility that this crime could be connected to Savannah Guthrie's public role, investigators, they may actually review her previous television recording. Think about that. Savannah has interviewed public political leaders across the world. She has questioned controversial figures. She has reported on criminal cases. She has covered issues that provoke very strong emotions. And investigators have to ask a simple question. Did something she reported on trigger anger in someone watching?
And guys, remember, look, we just saw Charlie Kirk, right? We tried 7 ways from Sunday to not just think that the guy that shot or that's alleged to shot Charlie Kirk was connected somehow. Erica hired him, et cetera, et cetera. No, he really just freaking didn't like what he was saying, didn't like his rhetoric. He's dating some transgender person and didn't like Charlie's. As far as we know, it wasn't some big conspiracy theory. It's Occam's razor for the goal. Thank you, FloJo TV. Thank you so much. All right, let's continue. We're not calling in yet.
Did someone develop resentment about something that she said during an interview? Did someone watching television begin to form a fixation? Now, to be clear, this does not mean that investigators believe that happened. But in a case this serious, detectives, they cannot ignore all possibilities. They have to examine the entire environment surrounding the victim and the people connected to the victim. And when someone in that family is a nationally recognized journalist, that environment becomes extremely large. Detectives may review past broadcasts, past interviews, past interactions, public interactions, not because they expect the answer to be there, but because somewhere in that information, there could be a clue about a motive.
And I assure you that law enforcement is also taking this angle, and you can tell by the way Savannah addresses the kidnapper, so to speak. Now, as far as the dog goes, that's a lot of planning. You go and you poison the dog, and then you come back a month later, and I don't know about all that. I'm not buying that. But again, we're gonna have a call in. So her dog died in December. They've been watching the house for sure, right? But if it was still, it is a person that's connected to and regularly around, they wouldn't be worried about that dog. It wasn't an attack dog.
This is an example of how wide and complex this investigation really is. Most people, they think that investigators are only looking at the crime scene, but in reality, they're looking at everything connected to the victim's world. Now, let's talk about something else that could be a possibility here, because this one has nothing to do with celebrity. This possibility focuses entirely on Nancy herself. Nancy Guthrie, she was 84 years old. She lived alone. She had limited mobility. She relied on medical support. To a predator, those things can appear as vulnerability. Criminals who target elderly victims often do so because they believe the victim cannot resist. They believe that the victim cannot run, and they believe that the victim, they can't fight back. So if someone had been observing that home,
and again, that's the theory that we talked about 2 days ago, was just straight up elder abuse. Just straight up, maybe somebody in that neighborhood has been living there since, years back. They know that Nancy's been there for years and years and years. Maybe their kids grew up or someone moved in and they're like, there's this old lady that lives at this house. It's real dark out here. And you know what? I seen her on TV. Her mom's got money. I'm going to go in there, and I still not buying that, but it's a possibility. And it's been happening in the Tucson and Arizona area. There's a string of things happening like that with elderly people. And I'm so glad and grateful that you got the book. I've got 2 more books to give away. So if we get to that goal, I'll go ahead and give one of those away. All right, let's continue.
If someone had noticed Nancy's routines, if someone realized that she lived alone, they may have decided that she was just an easy target. And unfortunately, criminals who think that way really exist. Another detail investigators study carefully is behavior. The suspect seen on camera, he did not appear panicked. He did not appear to be rushed. He was calm. He appeared calm. And that matters, because committing a crime like this involves enormous risk. Most people attempting something like this would show signs of nervousness, but the suspect's movements, it didn't show that level of panic. And that raises an important question. Was this a crime carefully planned? Had the offender mentally rehearsed this moment many times? Because when criminals appear comfortable committing a crime, it often means that they have spent time preparing for it.
All right, so he got out the 2 things. I like this guy. You guys should go sub up to him. I have to watch him on 2 times the speed, but I really do like his approach. He just says whatever it is. He's got a judge back here, Judge Robe. He's been a sheriff beyond Crew 50. He just makes the bottom line sense, no nonsense, just straight what it is. And there's another video that talks about what may solve it. He's got a lot of videos that he's been coming out with daily, and they make sense, but it's not where I'm headed. And we're still talking about that damn car. Why is Annie Guthrie still still gone? And what about the ransom? Why aren't we talking about the ransom anymore? If it was a kidnapping, people don't just kidnap for nothing. Just like Derek Colella, why would he just hoax his friends just to get arrested? Does that make sense? Squeaky Will says Occam's razor, prior worker at Nancy's home, had a thing for helpless elderly women. Said worker returned in the dark of night, spent time with her, removed her and his DNA. Find the worker. There you go. Occam's razor. It could be a family member. It could be the person that cleans the house, mows the lawns, what have you. All right. Anyway, go sub up to the Brew Crew and Beyond 50. Now that brings us to our final piece. And our final piece is we're gonna talk about pretty much everything but Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. Why is no one talking about the ransom demand? You don't kidnap somebody for nothing to gain nothing. You don't text somebody, I'm getting tired of waiting, and where's that Bitcoin, buddy? Just to do a hoax to get arrested, to now have court fees and more time when you already have a criminal record. So make that make sense. I really want to sign book. I'll buy one. Well, thank you. I hope that you win one tonight. Cool and Chris. All right. I still want you guys to call in after. Maybe Annie and Tommaso are not together. Separate, split the sheets. Doesn't want each of them to know. He texts for Bitcoin. They're trying to get double. Hiding secrets. Well, there you go. That's an answer. I can't say no to any of this. Occam's razor. Tommaso was the last to see her, but I heard Annie said she drove her. How? And changed it to Tommaso. Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that it went back and forth. And the federal warrants granted on Carlos and Luke, those don't come easy. All right, let's continue, guys. This is the whole topic of tonight is theories. I want you guys to call in with your theory, but I ask you, if this is a kidnapping, which they're calling it a Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, what about the ransom? Why did we stop hearing about it, and where is it? Why isn't someone coming forward? Why did the ransom just go away?
Part of the investigation just a week ago, Vinny. And then today, News Nation's Laura Ingle posted this update. She says PCSD confirms they are in the process of returning Andy Guthrie's vehicle. In the process, it has not been returned yet. Now, this is where it gets a little fishy here, Vinny, because on February 16th, the Pima County Sheriff's Department posted this a couple weeks ago. To be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel.
Now, I want you to keep this in mind, and this is why we all jumped away from the Andy and Tommaso, Occam's razor, last person to see her alive. Those two still get the text messages. Gracie for the goal. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat for the goal. I appreciate you, because Harvey wrote it from his bedroom with AI. I'm guessing the ransom demands were tracked to IP in Nigeria, Somalia, or some other foreign country. The demand stopped once the feds started tracking them down. They actually, Barney Fife did it. They actually hadn't stopped. They continued to go to TMZ, but TMZ said they weren't going to report on them anymore, and they would send them straight to law enforcement. So I wonder how that has been going. But we have to discuss the clearing of Andy and Tommaso and the validity of it. Again, this just came out, so I want you to know we're up to date. We're on day 34.
The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. Please, I'm begging you, the media, to honor your profession and report with some sense of compassion and professionalism. So the family has been cleared for weeks, yet Annie Guthrie's car is still in law enforcement possession. We also know law enforcement returned to Annie's house one of those weekends a few weeks ago, late at night on a Saturday night. When I was out there in Arizona, they were seen taking pictures in the garage. Reporters reported seeing flashes in the windows. Still no car being returned. It's all just so strange, Vinny.
It is. It's one of those things that doesn't make sense, right? You've got, on the one hand, the family was cleared, but the car was still part of the investigation.
Not only that, but the family's cleared. The car is part of the investigation. Andy and Tommaso still are out there kind of hiding from the public. And they were the last people to see him alive. They got a text message that says, "Where's the damn Bitcoin?" Right? So you tell me. You tell me.
Which brings us to the first question in our investigation. Why did investigators hold on to Annie's car after they were cleared? The family's cleared. Why are you holding on to the car? Joining us to help us figure this all out tonight, retired police commander, host of the podcast Gardens of Evil Inside the Zion Society Cult.
And you guys know Jason Jensen, Private Eye, is my guy, right? So I was so excited to see Jason Jensen involved in this case. He's an awesome Private Eye. You should go follow him on Facebook. He covers lots of cases and helps out. He helps people. He's very, very generous. He's generous too. All right. So let's continue.
Mike King, and also with us, private investigator Jason Jensen. All right, Mike. So this is one of those things that doesn't make sense to me necessarily, because there seems to be a little conflict, right? They're cleared. They're not.
Yeah, we looked at that at the beginning, Mo Franjo. At the very beginning, we looked at the possible Wi-Fi jammer / with disruptor, and I don't know. It doesn't seem too plausible, only because many neighbors said they didn't have any problems that night into the morning, and we still got footage. We got the footage of the shrubbery guy. So how? Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that. Cleared but not cleared. Yes, I'm gonna leave that up for a moment. Cleared but not cleared. Sorry, not sorry.
Not suspects. I think they're beyond not being suspects. They've been cleared in the case, yet their car, which would be Annie and Tommaso's car, was still being held after being seized by investigators.
Yeah, not as surprising to me, Vinny, because again, we got to worry about a chain of custody if something later down the road, for instance, perhaps they're waiting on some of the forensic testing that they might have done inside that vehicle.
That's interesting. They wouldn't be cleared then. And Robin, enjoying the coverage. Thank you so much. You know, I just said this 2 seconds ago about the Wi-Fi jammer to Mo Franjo. And then I get a post just seconds ago, and it says, well, it's SF Investigates. Take that for what you will. But they say they don't believe. He says he does not believe there was a signal jammer because the Nest cameras trigger an alert if they go offline because of a lost Wi-Fi. And although she didn't have a subscription, you still get alerts, and that would be in the database file with Nest. So the fact that there was any recovered video proves that there was a Wi-Fi signal that was uploading the video to the Nest servers, which is what I just said. I don't think that happened. Maybe they tried to. Maybe that was the Wi-Fi jammer in the pocket and it didn't work. But my answer is still, I don't think that is the case. I'm not sure why it's coming in, but yeah, I'm glad we're looking at it the way we are. During a Wi-Fi outage, Nest cameras will still store cameras' internal storage and then upload it back to the cloud. But the kidnapper took the camera with the stored video. So the only way the recovered video could exist is if the Wi-Fi was working at the time, which means, look at what we have here. That came from the Wi-Fi that night. So they didn't do such a good job if they had one. I didn't think that was a clear part of the case, but hey, everything's on the table at this point, right?
Something to do with hair or fibers or or plant material or soil, but any of these kinds of things, biological evidence, latent prints, anything like that, that they may be waiting on the lab to finish processing. They're not going to have a chance to go back if they release that car, because then it could be challenged that there's a chain of custody issue on that. I think that's one thing that kind of brings me a little solace in why this is taking so long. The second is that it's the only chance they may have had to get the telematics off of the vehicle, and the telematics might be problematic. It may be taking longer to go through that vehicle data.
And why are
Kind
we
of brings me a little solace.
why are we still coming back to Annie and Tommaso on day number 34 where they were cleared? What is that? Why can't we stop wondering that? Why can't we stop thinking that? If he was jamming, it wouldn't feel the need to cover. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He wouldn't have got the shrubbery. We wouldn't have got that. And he changed his story. Derek says, call for Bitcoin hoax. When do? Mistake becomes lies. Yeah, we don't. Well, mistake. I don't understand how a mistake even could be a mistake. How can you mistake texting these two people individually and then giving them a call? I'm not seeing it.
And why this is taking so long. The second is that it's the only chance they may have had to get the telematics off of the vehicle, and the telematics might be problematic. It may be taking longer to go through that vehicle data and understand what's in those things, like the depending on, I guess, the model and the make of this thing, whether there's some history on the infotainment system that would come back and they're waiting for reports on, or the navigation destinations, or any connected kinds of applications from the mobile devices that people have. Anything like that has to be analyzed, and it has to be forensically examined to determine. And if you send the car back, you may lose the ability to go into court and say, hey, we think this really was tied to the moment in time that we took it. And frankly, cleared is a great public message, but it might also mean there's just not probable cause to do anything different.
Okay. And there's two ways to ask the question, right? It could be like, I understand holding onto the car to get the evidence, run the testing and all that.
And a lot of people are looking at that theory because there's new video that came out from the neighbors and that night. And I'm looking at one of the videos while we're listening to this, and oh boy, there's somebody walking through the backyard holding up a backpack, and it gets a little blurry. So I mean, it could be a thing, but I think the reason that happened is because of the video that's been given to law enforcement and maybe seeing some interruption. Nina Hun, thank you so much. Sending good vibes. Love y'all. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Towards the goal. Yes, I'm seeing that. Wonder if they'll ever find Nancy, especially if she's deceased. And remember, they're out there in that desert, and it's not easy to dig a hole in that terrain. It looks like it's a bit too hard to just shovel out some shallow grave. So I don't know. Where is Nancy Guthrie?
It's the last place other than her home where we believe Nancy Guthrie was. So it's very relevant to the whole case. Mm-hmm. So Jason, I'll ask the question a different way to you. Instead of why did investigators hold on to Annie's car after they were cleared? Why did investigators clear Annie and her husband if they are still holding on to the car?
Right. Well, this makes sense. And everything that Mike just said, I agree with. But one of the things is in that messaging from the sheriff was to no longer vilify the family members because they just don't know what is the fate of Nancy Guthrie, who's responsible.
And that's what I think too. I absolutely, again, and I appreciate that comment, Squeaky Will, about no such thing as an expert regarding a case like this. It's rare that it's ever happened before, and it's rare that when it's a kidnapping, someone ever is recovered and gets a ransom. So our opinions hold no more, their opinions hold no more weight than ours and yours. And I believe that as well. I believe that the only reason they were cleared was to get them off of the family because in the ties that Savannah has, he didn't want that pressure from them. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to clear them, but not official clearing. What do you mean there's no mods tonight? Where are my mods at? All right, Tanya Mesa, thank you so much for the $1.99. Where are the mods? I know Foxy's here, Tiff's in and out. Synth, I think, had some. Synth, She wanted to call in tonight. Where they at? Where they at? They are holding the car still. They're probably getting the DNA evidence and testing it and making sure before they give it back.
Well, it certainly appeared to be a
Where
kidnapping based on the footage of the doorway and whatnot. But until they know what happened to her, everybody is a person of interest, but there's no real evidence of a crime. There's some blood spatter on the doorway and stuff. But until you know what happened to Nancy, you don't know if that's innocently caused or if there was a crime involved. And so rather than let them be harassed by social media and whatnot, he's coming forward to say, hey, we don't know what's going on. And there's just no suspects yet. These guys are victims if there is a crime, unless they know that one of them is responsible for it.
But I do interpret those two phrases much, much differently. And I'm wondering, like, you're not a suspect. Okay, I get that. You're cleared. To me, that seems like it's the next level. Like, not being a suspect. Okay, you've got nothing on me, but we're keeping the door open. Once we clear you, it's almost as if we've shut the door.
So far, I have seen my girl Tiff. I know she's got stuff in and out. And then I saw Foxy earlier. Synth, that's a good question. Synth, where are you? Synth wanted to do a call-in show last Friday, and I wasn't feeling it. But this Friday, I'm like, hey, let's present these theories and let you all call in. So hopefully we get some more mods in here. My mom is out hanging out with her friends. Yes, she's 71 years old and she's got her little group of friends and she loves it. So there's Mama Pearl, Carly. I don't know. Carly's the channel manager. She comes and goes when she wants to. But we'll see. I'll be modding if not.
On all of it, Mike. Why do you think he chose to use the word cleared rather than say, listen, the family are not suspects in this. There's no evidence linking them to anything here, folks. They are not on our radar for having done this. Nothing is pointing to them versus saying they're cleared. That's almost like a magic language. Everyone wants to be cleared.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Vinny, and it's really troubling. And it's been interesting to watch the sheriff as he releases information, almost like he's telling us what he thinks we want to hear, or maybe what.
I love that they're validating this. Thank you, Mike King. I gotta say, like, I'm not an expert at anything, right? I'm just a true crime sleuth. I love to get into cases and give victims voices and work with you guys. But the bottom line is he's right. I mean, the sheriff is seeming to say what people want him to, or what they want to hear, and what they want to hear, in my opinion, is persuaded by the actual Guthrie family and Savannah and Annie and their stature. Wendy, thank you so much for the $1.99. You say bandmate was gone from home for 2 weeks before 1/31/26. Which one? I'm trying to figure out which one. Thank you, Flojo TV. We're trying to hit that goal. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. They want them. That's what I'm thinking. Now, Miss Jennifer Wilson, I thought that they did that in order to be able to kind of see what they're doing, where they are. Hey, let's go. Hey, Savannah, go take Annie and Tommaso back to that area and go put flowers down so we can observe what's going on. All right, who's gonna match to complete that goal? Oh, look at Nina Hun just did my favorite crime chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And then we've got Michelle, member for 14 months. So glad for you to be here. Glad you're here tonight. Clark for all the new subs. Tiff does our merch. She can do anything you want. Guilty of Crime is fabulous, and I'd love the custom. And that's what I was going to ask Tiff. Where's the links for merch tonight, girl? I know you're not feeling too good, but guys, you should check out the Guilty of Crime merch. It's all on guiltyofcrime.com. Tiff will make you anything you want. So just remember that. And it doesn't hurt your pocket at all. Not really. And the quality's great. Alley Cat, when I saw the Thomas, Annie, and Savannah, I think Annie was overdoing her grief, hugging her hubby and hugging him, and Savannah seemed okay. Annie, and also, I agree with you, also, the fact that they put Tommaso in the middle and they were over accentuating their hugs, and he almost wasn't walking, he was walking. So I agree. The crying, it all seemed very overly dramatic. Cool and Chris, I was too slow. Oh, but you put a sloth, and that's my favorite. That is my absolute favorite, are sloths. I love them.
What the family or some pundit in the background might want to hear. And that's why I wish when those statements would come out, they would be a little more bad. I wish they were coming out in a printed form that both the federal partners and the state and local and the county attorney is agreeing on what you're going to release, because all of it seems like it could come back to haunt you, to say, hey, we said you were clear, but now we're focusing on you again, and we're not. And you know what, Vinny, I keep scratching my head wondering, is there any possibility that it might also be just something to cause people to relax a little, pull a little of the pressure off where they really want to focus? And we just don't know.
Not only that, but it's really odd. And Matt Dubinsky, also they made sure to walk arm in arm so watchers can't check his walking gait against the masked man in the video, but we did. And not only that, why did they over dramatize the fact that Tommaso was in the middle, and Savannah overplayed it, in my opinion, as well. She started like rubbing his back, and yeah, I know it's your brother-in-law, but like, we're not that close. Why wasn't Annie in the middle of Tommaso and Savannah? It's just really weird. The whole thing seemed overdone and over dramatic, and hence why many YouTubers clipped them walking and side by side walking with the alleged kidnapper, because at this point, how are we even talking about kidnapping when we're not talking about a ransom anymore? What happened to the ransom? Yeah, Tiff, feel better. Much love to you. And bending over, picking up the damn flowers. Yes, I'm glad you guys see it the way I do. My goodness, it seemed very, very staged. All right, let's continue.
Yeah. I never thought that could be a tactic, right? You're trying to loosen things up a little bit as well. And obviously, like he said what he said, Jason. So in the car, that's the last known place, but it's the last known place based upon the statements made by Annie and or her husband about what happened the prior day, about her, they're dropping her off and then they open the garage and then the garage closes and she goes inside. So is it possible they could be attempting to?
It's just so hard to get past this. Are they attempting to what? Just get them off of their back, or get them off their back so nobody gets sued?
Verify that somehow through the car itself. Like, if we know there's blood on the front stoop, obviously if any car is being used to transport her after she is taken from that home, you'd be looking for the blood, but they would have found that very quickly, I would think.
Oh, but yes, indeed. They would have blood stains within the interior of the vehicle, because there seems to be quite a bit of blood in the stoop. So that is likely there because they had to stop long enough to lock the door or whatnot, close the door behind them. That's why there would be a concentration there at the doorway, but then there would likely be a trail to the vehicle or thereafter inside the vehicle. So if they're looking for blood stains within the car to verify that indeed Nancy was transported in the vehicle with injuries, that would make sense. But we just don't know what they're waiting on before they release the car.
Yeah. And well, they say it's in the process. So that hopefully is good news for the family that, listen, we've been cleared and now our car's been cleared as well. That would be good news in all of this. All right. The other good news, Mike, Jason are staying with us. When we come back, why did the suspect bring something to remove that camera?
All right, let's get past all this. I just love this episode with the people in it and the questions. And it came out last night. They have another one today that actually talks exactly about what we did earlier and why target Nancy Guthrie.
Removal of that camera. What do we know about that? What have we been able to put together?
Well,
and guys, by the way, if you know anything about anything, those cameras, yeah, you can use it. They're kind of like your iPhone. You know, your iPhone, when you get a new phone and you want to take that little your what do you call that? The little SD card. You need a paper clip or something to push it in. That's all you really need to get that off. You need like some kind of thing to, maybe a paper clip or something thin to poke in and just rip it right off. Why did they do that if they had already been scoping out the house? You tell me how you emailed twice. It depends which email you sent me. I emailed you twice with additional information. I'll be able to. Which email, Dan? Because I'm looking at my email and I do not see any emails from a Dan at all. Maybe you tell me where it came from or which email you sent it to. Yes, the SIM card. It's very similar to the SIM card. All right, I'm going to continue.
For starters, we know that at some point that camera was there because we've seen the video of that suspect walking around the front stoop of Nancy Guthrie's home. We saw the video because there was a camera that picked it up. Let's take a look at that video now here, Vinny. You know, we've seen this video all over the internet, all over media for the past few weeks. We've seen him come to the door. He has a gun, a full backpack, a mask, those gloves on, all the things. But Vinny, shortly after or right after that Nancy was reported missing, we see in this video, the camera is clearly gone. As the camera pans up here, we freeze it right there. Where the camera would be, you see where it would be right there on that little metal jack looking thing on the wooden pillar. That's where it should be. Now, we don't know where it is. We don't know who took it. We don't know if it's destroyed or somebody has it in their possession, but that's where the camera would have been. Now we go back to that suspect video. And, you know, we see him acting weird on that front stoop. We see him going to bend down here in this portion of the video, picking up plants. Shortly after, it looks like when he noticed there was a camera, like he kind of panicked, and then he goes and grabs some plants, starts doing who knows what here, fiddling around, covering the camera with the plants that he picked up in front of Nancy's house. Again, doing who knows what here. We don't know what the end goal here was with these plants. But again, Vinny, the thing about it, as we heard the sheriff say, law enforcement still has not recovered that physical camera. Don't know who took it, if it was taken, if it was destroyed, but it's clearly not there.
Unbelievable. He's got a huge backpack full of gear. Like he's all geared up, ready to go. And just doesn't seem prepared. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like, oh, there's a camera there. Oh, what am I going to try to do? I need something to.
Not only that, but you got to remember they came, and I got your email, Dan. I got it. You send it to sendmecases@gmail.com. And if you like, you can call in. We're going to be doing call-ins very shortly. I'm going to put the call-in number and open up the lines. Now, I'm trying to read your email, but it's hard because I'm also having to pay attention to this. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's you right now, but I wasn't ready for call-ins yet. Let's see. Hold on. Hello? Hello? Okay, hold on. Hello, Dan. Can you hear me? Okay, give me a second. Let me put this on the screen so people can actually hear you. Otherwise, they won't be able to hear you. Hold on, I gotta drop. No, you're good. I don't know if I sound too loud for you, but let me I've got you on here now.
You're
Okay.
fine.
Can you guys hear can you hear Dan? He just called in. Okay, I can hear you just fine. You want to go?
Hi. So yeah, do you want me to tell you what I do believe?
Absolutely. And you're
Okay, so
I'll put your volume up. You're a little bit low. Go ahead.
Okay, so the reason why I got involved with this is because I had a little time off work and the case was everywhere. But in the beginning of the case, there was something that was stated by the people that alerted Savannah to be concerned to begin with. And that was just one statement that caught my attention. And that statement was her mother never made it to church.
Right.
So her mother never making it to church allowed me to sleep on it and think about it. Maybe it was somebody from the clergy that would have that surveillance on Nancy, because it's a very entrusted place to be, with all the information, being that she has a pacemaker and she probably goes there every Sunday loyally to get, for prayer, for her heart condition and her being 84. So this probably could have been going on for quite a while, and the most least suspicious people are in attendance there, and those are the people that she would befriend, because she can't go so many places knowing that her daughter is a celebrity.
Right.
So the people, so my opinion, the suspect unfortunately comes from that department. So I limited it down to a few people, and this is how I did it.
Okay.
If you go to the St. Andrews website,
Okay.
you can click on a few options that they have, and one of them is a live stream option, and it can take you backwards to like months of where it was live streamed on Sundays. It's four
Okay.
times a month, and I started scouring the live streams for somebody that fit the build of the person that was on the the camera, right?
Yeah.
And because since it's a very small congregation, it's a little bit easier to weed out the people that don't fit that, and then you could focus on a few characters in there. And I noticed one guy in specific that was in two of the feeds in January that sat horizontally behind her. I'm not saying that he was suspicious because he was staring at her, because it appears that he was looking at the sermon or looking at the pastor and listening. However, but what bothered me about it was upon further investigation, I looked on the website and I looked for the people that are on the team. And so by looking at the members of the people that are on the team,
right,
they introduce you to maybe 7 or 8 people, and they have profiles. They show the pictures of people. And out of those profiles, there's about 5 people that absolutely 100% fit the build of the guy on the camera. And so I went through looking, trying to figure out how I could find them on Facebook or whatever like that. And it matched up to one. And, and I don't want to say his name if I'm live, because I don't want anybody to harm anyone if it's untrue.
No, yeah, for sure. I appreciate
I left that in your email.
Got it.
But there's 4 people that you can look at. But then if you go and you do exactly what I did, you could freeze frame, and then you could find the information about the people. And there happens to be somebody that's absent here and there.
Right.
And if the person is absent that's here and there, right around the time where he's disappeared, I could not find any footage of that same person that was sitting behind her in February, and we're now in March. And so
so she was I heard that. Okay, so people in chat, and I didn't look into the church thing at all. Like I thought since 2020 she was just going straight online with it. Like she went Wi-Fi, just watching it. Is that not the case? Was she there in person?
No, she actually she physically would go to church.
Okay.
As a lawyer, that's why they called. They're like, well, so maybe she didn't check in. Maybe she was doing both. But a lot of times that they would see her, she has a personal relationship with the pastor.
Okay.
And so they started freaking out, and they're the ones that got a hold of Savannah. We're like, wait a minute, your mom hasn't tuned in, or we haven't seen your mom down here. It's not even far away. If you Google map it, it's not far away from that location of where she lives at all.
Well, let me stop you for a second, because people in chat are like saying, no, she didn't go to church, she watched it, and false. But here's the thing, you're 100% right about what you're saying right now about the people calling and saying she didn't show up. What that was, though, that's a group of people. It wasn't the actual church. She would go to this group of people's house, and they would watch the stream from the house, the church. So yeah, there's people. I don't know who the group of people were. Maybe you're referring to that, but she wasn't physically in the church.
However, so let's say that's true too. But I mean, it still kind of leaks into other people that would be involved, because they still would have that information, and that information connects them to people that are, or like people that do work on other people's houses, like maintenance and stuff like that, in which she had work done.
Okay. Yeah,
and
no,
so,
you're right.
And so that's where I had gone completely down the rabbit hole with it. And it kind of opened the doors to, I mean, it's the least, it's not a place where you want to suspect anybody. But however, the people that do these investigations, the FBI and all these other people, it's the last place that they would determine finding a suspect. But that's where, but the links, no matter even what you're saying, it kind of links up.
No, it does.
To a complete degree, because that person can go under radar for the longest time. And we're already a month and a half into this or whatever.
Right.
So you got to think that the connection can be made. If you look at the live stream, regardless whether she was in the congregation or not, or maybe I looked into it and maybe I misinterpreted a woman that looked just like her to be her, because there's no way to superimpose, but you can see grainy aspects of the people that sit up front and also the person that's preaching. And so all of this excited me to the degree it was like, I'm doing this in a whole different way than the other people that normally would take this investigation. So, but what we're saying together is still, even if it's live streamed, somebody that would know her from that.
Right. And even at the house, again, we don't know who was at the house that she was going to. We have no idea if there were 3 women and 2 men, 5 women. From what I hear, they were streaming it from a church in New York. So it could have been a bunch of people. We have no idea. I've seen Bible study where there's like 10 people there. They sit around in their chairs, and those people did in fact call. And that's boggled me too, because why would they, just because she didn't show up to church, I was like, why would they right away call and be so, but
exactly.
That makes sense.
So the digital footprint could be within the clergy. And that sounds so, because that does not give us, any good feelings about, being able to go into a public place where you're entrusted and you're worshiping in. But I mean, that's how criminals operate. And it's to me, it seems so much closer to that theory than it would be these other theories that have spun so far out of control, like she's had. And also the fact that, okay, so they've been watching just as much as we have been watching, right?
Right.
So,
exactly.
But there's other details of things that people kind of misinterpret, or they just don't think about. Tucson is not relatively the biggest area. So what I was saying is, why don't you just look at people that have gone to a hardware store with an appliance store within the frame of time where she's been missing.
Right.
And then you find the person who bought a refrigerator, and if there's a refrigerator for a garage or something like that, then that would be a suspicious person, because even though, I mean, it's winter, although it is Arizona. So, but I'm saying that all of a sudden there are people purchasing refrigerators or something like that because they have to conceal a scent. And unfortunately, as much as I want to believe that Miss Guthrie is alive, she's probably deceased. And in order to conceal that smell, you would have to have that kind of appliance.
Right.
So, and so there's not a whole bunch of appliance stores. Go back and get their footage. I guarantee you're going to find some people that fit the build of the person that was on the ring photo. And so that's what I'm saying. I believe that needs to look at some of the things that other people are saying. Obviously, we're doing this. We've all gotten involved. And the reason why I think that I got involved, it's not that I'm this super crime. I watch crime with my wife all the time. However, there's a woman that lives in Arizona that I'm really close to. And every time I think of her, I live in Minnesota, but every time I think of her, I think of Savannah, because they're identical. My friend Michelle is identical to Savannah. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to, instead of calling Michelle just for, shits and giggles, I'm going to kind of like see what I can do and put my little, internet or sleuth
Hey,
work. And
that's what
and
we're doing here, and it makes sense.
yeah,
It could be. Now, let me just put it in perspective because some people I think are thrown off a little bit.
by what I'm saying.
Yeah, only because they're thinking that you're saying that she was physically in the church at that time, or that
No,
no,
no.
that's not what he's saying, guys. What he's saying is it could be someone affiliated or associated with the group of people that she even watches church with in that group. That's what he's trying
Right.
to get at.
And that's an offensive thing to people. And so it's very sensitive when you're speaking about church.
Yes,
That's why
it is.
people are like, that's why they'll get angry right away, because they're like, no, it's not a person of faith, because they want to believe that everybody is always good. You never know who you're sitting next to, regardless to, they could be good and they could have turned bad. It's somebody that's obsessed with Savannah, somebody that loves her,
100%.
somebody that's a loner, somebody that, knows the worth of what they can do.
Right.
And, and it was an opportunity that they put into fruition. They put that opportunity into fruition and they failed to get what they were needing. I think that they were trying to, harass her for some kind of romantic aspect of everything, but it just didn't work out.
Right.
And so that's the only people that would know the information about Nancy would be people that she would entrust in her inner circle, regardless of whether it be online or physical. But at some point or another, she physically attended that church. They all know who she is.
Right.
It's not
100%.
that big.
Again, she's lived there since 1975. All right.
Exactly.
Put that into perspective. Everybody's move when they've been somewhere for that long, period. And you're right. Church people don't, look at how many bad things go on in church with the pastors and the children.
Right. Exactly.
It's hidden in plain sight. So, it does make sense that it could be somebody affiliated with the group of people that she
it's the last avenue anybody would ever even think about. In fact, I don't think anyone has ever thought about it. I thought about it. I called the FBI and I called Pima County. I called them, but in the back of my mind, I was like, they don't care about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little bit, nervous or whatever. Like I am to a degree now. I'm a little bit more comfortable talking to you about it, but maybe I'm not articulating everything the way that I know that I could, or how I have it laid out, or how I messaged you about it in the email.
Right.
And the email to me is a little bit more detailed because I did drop some names in the email, because it kind of scared, it's frightening that, if you go and you look at the persons that I had, mentioned, and then you match them up with the ski mask, then here we go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing work, that these people aren't doing or whatever like that. And it's not for the $1 million. Of course I can use it, but it's because
if you get that,
we both can.
If you
we
get
both
that,
can.
Get that $1 million and then email me, okay? And I'll take half.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, if it turns out that my theory is right, then you're on board, and then that's my solemn promise. But I'm telling you, right? To me, money it's not about money all the time. My life is more about helping. I work at a senior citizens facility. First of all, by the way,
that's not my goal either. My goal's not. I'm just teasing you. I do a lot of things.
No, it's cool. Well, I'm not teasing you. I'm telling you if I happen to be correct, and I happen to be the person that brings it to light, and it is a part of solving the case. And that's what's offered to me, then, I have your email address and I will befriend you and we will. But I'm saying that it's been so long. This has been going on too long.
Right.
And, and every time I tune in, they're talking about the same thing. They're talking about the grainy footage, talking about, it's the same thing every day. And tomorrow will be day 35 and tomorrow will be, and after that'll be day 36. If they just investigate the people that watch crime shows like me, that watch thrillers and stuff like that, and they realize that we actually can solve it. They think about if they take what I'm saying here tonight seriously, then I'm pretty sure that they're on to something. That's a direction that they need to go. They have money to do it. There's people to do it down there. That's where
Sometimes
What's
you
that?
have sometimes you have to get their attention a couple times, okay? And I'm saying this
Yeah.
because in the Madeline Soto case, we have Thomas. Okay, why can't I remember his last name right now, guys, in chat? Okay, so you know how they found Madeline Soto's body, don't you? Do you know the Madeline Soto case?
I'm not super familiar with that. No.
Okay, well, I first started this true crime thing, and I covered the Madeline Soto case. Now, Madeline Soto's body was out on Highway 192, and law enforcement put out a picture of a car and said, if anyone's seen this car, call in the leads. So people called in the leads like you did, right? Now, this guy Thomas Thomas Karras, he called law enforcement and he saw Stephen Stearns with that flat tire where Madeline Soto's body was ultimately found. They did not take him seriously. They didn't take him seriously, though. He had to call back multiple times and insist that they go out there and check. And guess what? They found her body. So
Well, to them, it would be a public embarrassment, I think, and it's possibly a pride thing that other people are noticing things that they don't notice.
Right.
You know, the only reason I took a lead on what I thought is because I could not get it out of my mind. Why would it be somebody, you know, from that institution that would alert Savannah to, you know what I mean? That means that somebody within that circle potentially has, understands or knows somebody, or it comes from that entity. And that's what I'm saying. If they would have got on top of that from day one, then it wouldn't be so spun out of control right now. I mean, Savannah's heart, she's crying on TV every day. She's a celebrity figure, and you know, I watch the show. I like her. I think it's great, and you just want to help these people heal,
right?
And ultimately, I do think that what you and I are saying together right now is a theory that's viable. It's a viable theory that needs to be investigated, absolutely 100%. And I know a lot of people have a lot of theories because this is a nationwide, probably a worldwide thing right now, where there's people like me that are calling in. But I thought enough about this and took the space and the open time in regard to figure out that there are so many things that align with why I'm calling today. I'm just not some weird obsessed person or anything like that. I'm just a guy.
Hey, and that's why we're doing a call-in tonight, because I really wanted to hear from other people what you guys were thinking, right? So, I mean, hey, it's as plausible as anything else at this point. And you know what? The mat is still sitting out at the front door. The mat that had the blood on it is still sitting out there at the front door. Okay, they didn't even take that.
Yeah.
So, and the sheriff has now said the first 24 to 48 hours was botched. He didn't do it on purpose, but he's not used to it. So the freezer, no smell, and the church groups absolutely is a plausible theory.
If he belongs to a group and there's people that are listening in, they know who she is. They know the worth of who she is. She's probably the only one in the group that is connected to a celebrity. That person's like, ding, 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 money, money, money. They hatch a plan in their brain quietly beneath the surface and undetected. And then before you know it, they put it into fruition. They put it into, and that's exactly what a lot of people are missing out on. You know, if they just would listen to goofy people like me and go ahead and take it seriously, then maybe you and I are onto something.
Right. And totally, you know, this is why we're kicking stuff around. I'm really so glad, number one, that you called in, and number two, that you actually called the FBI tip line and told them about this, because, you know, it's not that I didn't go there because people at church are so good, because quite the opposite. There are many crimes that occur that are covered up by, you know, the name of God. But you're right.
Exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
She didn't show up. How did they even know?
It's the least suspicious person that it is not some random guys. These are people
No,
that
100%.
the only people that have the opportunity would be from those circumstances.
Right.
Other than that, she's just a quiet little lady that's rich because of her daughter's rich, and she lives in a very nice area. And I'm sure the neighbors know who she is and blah, blah, blah.
100%,
But how could you go about getting information about a person like that? That it's really tight knit within the family. So, but the only people that would be trusted with the kind of information that leads us to have clues and ideas about the identity of her whereabouts and stuff like that would be somebody that would be entrusted. It's not her family members. It's people that have been paying attention enough to do harm. And that's the only other place in her social circle that she even attended. Even if she virtually attended or she physically attended, she had been living there since 1984. There's so many characters, well, there's not so many. There are a handful of characters that would have the motive. And I listed them. I listed them to you in the email because I think it's wrong to go on air and just drop names, and then my email address is on there, and then people start attacking me even though I'm far away in another state.
Yeah, we're not going to do
It's just that I don't want to bring harm upon myself. I don't really want to bring harm upon another person. I want this investigation to go in the right direction so Savannah and her family members can, grieve properly.
Yeah, I mean, there's all of us. I mean, some of us are just here because we're curious. Some are here for whatever reasons. But on that note, so I'm gonna go back and read your email when we're done here. I will.
It's more detailed than what I've been saying on the phone. I mean, I called you and I called you and being excited when you're talking to somebody on the phone, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm on the air.
Yeah,
I better know what I'm saying. Yeah.
And you got a bunch of people in here talking and chatting. So what I'm going to do is
I'm not reading what they're saying. I'm on my phone and you're on my TV. So I'm in the kitchen walking back and forth talking to you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So yeah, I'm going to go back and look at it, and I will tell you what I think after. I don't want to say anything now because I do see a bunch of names and a bunch of stuff in the email.
Yeah.
But on that note, fantastic theory. You
have my number. You can call me whenever, and you can also email me. And then, I just think that we should stay on top of it. We're going in the right direction, and we'll be the people that'll solve it. Screw everybody else.
Absolutely. And I thank you so very much. I'll see you back in chat, and we're going to continue talking about why the ransom hasn't come, and then we'll move on. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. It was nice talking to you, Jay.
You too. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Hey, that guy is awesome. Just straight up has a theory, told us what it was, wrote it out, didn't call in with some crazy stuff. Because you guys got to admit, you guys have been here for a while, and we've done some pretty good call-ins, but we've also had call-ins where people are just freaking either like super rude or out of their mind. So thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. And I can't wait to go back and read the email because he's got a lot of stuff in there. And, I asked that question several times and nobody gave me an answer. Who are the people that she goes to church and watches the church stream with? Or is it one or two old lady people? Is it a younger congregation men? Is it people that like gather at that house as sort of a church? So anyway, yeah, we should definitely take a closer look. I'm glad he called in. Beverly says that's not positive news. I'm just 3 weeks in, extremely exhausted, no voice, no cup. Oh, Pam, prayers for you to get better soon. Wyatt is in the house. Good to see you. I see some of the mods rolling in. Foxy says, get yourself some merch. Sorry you had a rough day, Foxy. Let's continue. I'm going to continue. And then if anyone else wants to call in, you guys let me know in chat. You're certainly welcome to call in. I did close the phone line so that it's not ringing while I'm trying to watch. But thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. That's what we want. That's why we're opening this to have a phone call or phone calls.
To get rid of this camera, I'm picking up, weeds. Like, brings us to the next question in our investigation. Why didn't the suspect bring something to remove the doorbell camera, or at least to cover it up? Like nothing. Got a backpack full of stuff. Nothing for the camera? Still with me, Mike King, Jason Jensen. Jason, what are your thoughts on this? Like, why on earth? Like, you've got this backpack, you've got a gun dangling on the holster, you got the mask, you got the gloves, nothing for the camera?
You know, Vinny, it's very striking, really, that it looks like he's so unprepared. I chalk this up to experience. Anybody that's familiar with the front of homes, and I, as a private investigator, I do surveillance all the time. The last thing we want to do is be caught by surveillance footage, and a doorbell camera is common nowadays. So you would think that he'd go there. If he's experienced, he'd be prepared to.
Not only that, but he was already there, right? Already completely there. I love Jason Jensen, man. He's just an awesome guy. He'll do stuff and not charge. Like he offered to go help in the Sebastian Rogers case. He's working on the John Benet Ramsey case. He's working on one of the other cases that's connected to my family, little Rosie. There's Dan. His name's Dan Thrax, and I'm here for that name. All right, we're going to go a little bit more forward, because when I'm looking now, like up to date, there's some stuff going on, and most of it's about the cameras. And I wonder if that's going to be what solves it. I'm seeing that like Iqmel post some things about the door, about the possible jammer, and seeing people in the backyard with backpacks. Could it be related to that? I mean, I don't think so, but let's move a little bit forward so we can still have more calls. Okay. So there is the doorbell, and in order to get it off, it's like you put a little thing in there, like if you're getting out your SD card, and you just pull it off. He obviously didn't have that, and so he probably ripped it off somehow. I'm not sure. All right, let's continue.
Might be, we don't know if there was the influence of drugs or alcohol involved, if he's got tunnel vision because he's so focused on the prize that he's not seeing everything happening around him. But what is absolutely clear is that he didn't plan on a doorbell. And that's when we see him really start to fall apart. He looks pretty calm wandering around for the weeds, but he didn't plan on that. And everybody keeps getting kind of wrapped around the axles that there was a 40-minute time period that he was in the house. Maybe he wasn't, Vinny. Maybe he ripped that doorbell off, and then he went out into the cover and concealment of night and waited for 30 or 40 minutes to see if a police officer drove up or if somebody turned the lights on in the house. So there's a ton of behavior happening here that I think when we get the answers, it's going to all make perfect sense.
Yeah, it seems to me, Jason, that
and we really don't know. And at this point, there's not nobody. All of the people that are looking at this case are saying there's absolutely two people or more. Who's not saying that? FBI is not talking, and Pima County Sheriff Barney Fife is doing nothing. All right. John Boone says, thanks, over and out. They were asking about the cams that day, and some other neighbors didn't have anything. So MB Jammer. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I just read a little bit earlier that if they had that jammer on and it was working that night, they wouldn't have been able to get this footage. And guys, they have other footage that we don't know about. Okay, they're not giving us all the footage, I assure you. All right, if the jammed, it would have other jam emergency communications. Yeah, I don't know. I hope we get more answers. I really do. All right, let's continue. The source told Fox News that for years, dating back to COVID, Nancy and a small group of close friends had a standing routine that did not, you're right, it's 110%. They did not attend the actual church, but it was a group of close friends that would go in and stream the church proceedings, so to speak. Who are those people? Got Menendez theory to drop, y'all. What? All right, let's continue with this case. About Menendez, where'd that come from? We need to find justice for Nancy and bring her home.
hadn't been there before, and either had the mission without really scouting it out, or was getting bad information from someone else who scouted out the location.
Right. I would think that if you had cased the place beforehand, and oftentimes when I do a surveillance at a residence, I will go there during the daytime just so that I can see if there's, cameras on the eaves of the house, or there's a doorbell camera at the near the handle of the door, because you want to be able to rule out all the.
We are all just speculating right now. Jason Jensen speculating, I'm speculating, Dan speculating. Everything is everything is speculation except for at the very beginning of the show when I told you what law enforcement has told us. All right? And it's not a lot. It's not a lot. We don't even know that the network congestion or throttling or AKA jammer even happened, or maybe that was another night, right? The only evidence that we really have is the actual Nest door camera footage with the masked intruder. And they say they're one intruder on 2 nights. We have blood at the front door that it's been confirmed to match Nancy, but nothing else. And they didn't even take the rug. The rug is still sitting there. What if that rug has hair fibers or something from the shoes that only could come from a certain area? What if they drug that on there? Why is it there? Then the gloves found 2.5 miles away, those traced to a restaurant worker, a big nothing burger. 12 vehicles, guys, 12 vehicles on the ring cameras, and FBI says that's a dead end. It's a nothing burger. Then the additional gloves that came from the house were sent to Florida, to Florida's testing, and they haven't come back yet. The only other thing we have is evidence that was from inside of the house, includes intruder and blood evidence, and we know nothing about it. So essentially, that's all we know. So everything else is speculation. Ugh, the mat. They should have taken it with the camera holder. I know. Why didn't they take the camera holder? They could have got something from that as well. I didn't even think about that. Patricia, remember the Menendez bro trial. All right, let's continue. I know it's asking a lot. I don't want the mods to be like, what are you doing? I also saw the theory of SATG. I don't believe it. I do not believe it at all. All right, let's continue.
Possibilities of a mistake occurring before you go there in the dead of the night.
Mike King, I just want to go on a stakeout with Jason Jensen now. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I was wondering the same thing, Vinny. In fact, I want to get in his trunk and see if he's got any gear in there that would be really suspicious in nature.
Exactly. This case, there's just so many aspects of it that are not making sense, and this is another one of them. But you guys are making sense.
All right, let's continue on more because we haven't even got to this being a kidnapping. And why is there no ransom?
Blood identified as Nancy's was found at the home. Security systems were disabled. A masked figure was recorded outside overnight. The FBI is now assisting, but no suspect has been publicly identified. And as tips pour in from across the country, the mystery only deepens.
Throughout this hour, we've been going through
hanging in front of him. Neither of those things, though. That's pretty.
I really wanted to talk about this because right here's the discussion about 2 different people, not 2 different nights. And maybe it is 2 different nights and 2 different people, but I absolutely believe that's 2 different people. And many people don't think so. I still think that there's people in chat that will say, no, that's the same dude. That's the same dude that came back. Tiff, I hope you feel better. If you're leaving, text me later or I'll text you tomorrow, whatever. Get some rest.
Let's look at both of them and compare the 2 here. And when we look at the comparisons, Vinny, on the left, that's what we've seen a lot. It's been plastered everywhere. But you see the image on the right, and what jumps out at me is a major difference. On the right, he doesn't have a backpack on. He doesn't have the gun hanging in front of him. Neither of those things, though. That's pretty huge to me. He's unarmed and he doesn't have that backpack full of whatever he had in it, his equipment or whatever. But what's also unclear about the image on the right is the date that took place. We know the image on the left, they say that's from the night she went missing, which would be February 1st. Don't know about the image on the right. But in a post from February 10th, FBI Phoenix, they said in part, as of this morning, law enforcement uncovered these previously inaccessible new images showing an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance. Now we see those images are images that we've seen night from when Nancy was reported missing. We go on from the same day. FBI Director Kash Patel in a similar post said, or he referred to the other image. He said in part, additional recovered images from the same camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance, the morning of.
I'm trying to look up and see if Savannah Guthrie did go to the hospital and what that means, what happened. But you guys let me know in chat too. I'm curious, you guys, if you guys think that this was just one person, drop a 1 in chat. If you think there's 2 people or more, put a 2. Don't forget, we're going to be giving away a book at the end of this, a signed copy of my book. And thus far, the people that have received my book like it. I've gotten good feedback. There's a lot of illustrations in it, and it's actually about my life, but it also helps other people. So, like you think it's 2 people? You think it's 2 people? 1, or you think it's the same person? 2 or more? 2 or more. Okay, let's continue.
For disappearance, including 2 videos of the individual. Now, he's referring to the image that was on the right in the comparison image that we had up just a little bit earlier. Now, here's where things start to get a little dicey and start to sway here, Vinny. ABC News, they put out this statement, this quote. They say, the masked man who is suspected of the abduction of Nancy Guthrie appears to have been at her front door earlier than February 1st, the night police believe she was kidnapped. Sources familiar with the investigation told ABC News. The image the FBI released of the suspect at her front door without a backpack was captured by her Nest doorbell camera on a day before the suspected abduction, the sources said. So, Vinny, here we are. Over a month into this investigation, and we're still up in the air about dates on when the suspect...
Exactly. We don't even have a clear timeline, and we have no idea who she was hanging out with at the freaking... at her church group. We have no clue who that is. So we're looking at people that may not even be the people. Now, Rosemary says, I happen to think that Luke Daly is definitely one of them. I also think Tommaso and Annie are also up to no good. All right. Lizzie thinks it's only one person, and many people do. Why don't we know this on day 34?
Could have been there, whether it was before February 1st, whether whenever that was, weeks before, days before. We are still up in the air, even though we're weeks into this investigation.
Yeah, again, another one of those things not making a lot of sense. Usually video evidence makes a lot of sense. It's timestamped, but the way these things were extracted by Google has left some question marks, and you don't see it on, sometimes you even see it on the video itself, the timestamp. Okay, that brings us to the next question in our investigation about these images. Looking at why are these 2 pictures different? Why is he dressed that way on the left and this way on the right? What exactly is going on here? Here to help with the investigation.
And again, we've been talking about this since what? The day that these damn pictures came out. Okay, Lucky thinks it's just one. Yeah, there is no proof that there's more than one. I think the 2 or more is just us seeing the image and saying, no way, that's not the same. No information at all. Yeah, there really isn't much because she was doing church with neighbor friends. But who are the friends? Who are the dang friends? We don't even know any of that. And yeah, we've definitely took a look at a lot of the eyes and a lot of the body stature. And I'm looking at Savannah Guthrie does not say that she went to a hospital today. I don't know if that's a rumor or what, but it says she was not hospitalized today. I'm not sure where that came from. There's a lot of information about those jammers, but again, it's all speculation at this point. There's nothing here to really say that they had a jammer. Because how did we get that footage? All right, let's talk about the 2 individuals or 1. And what about the ransom? Do we forget about that?
To let us know that there is no indication that these photographs were taken on different days. I mean, they made an Twitter post about this, saying like it's all purely speculation here. So, everybody stop speculating is essentially what they're saying. And this whole case has been speculation, in my opinion. And so I'm going to go on further here. But I mean, there's so many reasons that we could list here. I mean, the suspect stashed the gear. He can't.
Now, again, guys, was he drunk? Does he have a bad memory? If this is the picture from the night before, or even before, they didn't give us a date. This is the night that it was super pitch black. There's no backpack on him, and it looks like a different jacket. But then now that I'm looking at this from far, it looks the same, right? You got that white, and it's just that the backpack's not on him. Okay. But here's the thing. Is this guy, this is the one that put the shrubbery. If this is the same guy that put the shrubbery, and he is close to the family and he's been watching the house, why didn't he know that the camera was going to come right up? Because you got to remember, he starts walking up to the house like this, and as soon as he see that light, the light up, he puts his head down, and then he goes and gets shrub and puts it over. So you're telling me this guy's the same as this. This guy cased the house on a different night, but he completely forgot to come back the next night and bring a tool to take the door camera off, to have spray paint or tape to put over it. I mean, how is that possible? Right there, he knew there was a camera there. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's continue. I did watch the Deception Detective one about Luke in the interview, but it's just not much. And you know I love Deception Detective, but I don't even have 10 minutes of my time to really go over that with you. It's kind of a nothing burger, so I'm going to leave that there. Yeah, there you go. So that, Nancy, that means there would be 2 or more people. All right. It was like it was purchased afterward from inside. And yes, that's what I was saying too. How do we know that the person or people weren't already there, hadn't gone around the back and were inside for a little bit? How do they know that? The guy with the backpack looks really thick. That's what I was saying too. The stature, the arms, the shoulders, they just don't look the same. And it's gotta be dumb. I haven't seen any of this either. I don't know who it is. All right, let's continue, because I can sit there all night saying, this guy's an idiot. If he did go scope it out, what's his deal? How's he going to come back and use freaking shrubbery? And guys, when he did that, we got to see his posture even more. We got to see his leg, that he doesn't bend his leg when he bends down. How he moves, more facial features of his eyes, his lips. Why would he do that?
Canvassed the area. He saw what he needed to do to possibly get inside, and he decided to come back. I mean, I almost hate guessing, Vinny, just because I feel like we're going in circles, and as much information that I don't necessarily feel that's been helpful that the sheriff has given us, I do get confused as to why we don't have more information about this individual, because I believe that they do. I believe they are holding on to that, and that is fine. That is their right. That is their job. They don't necessarily owe us anything. But I mean, listen, this to me appears to be at random at this point.
I mean, that does look at random, but then you see the video from the night before where they're casing the place and he just forgot to bring something. I'm just not buying that. And thank you, Jules, to Callie too. If you received a membership, please thank her. And and I don't think the letters are the same either, Jason Bourne. I got to tell you, I think that the ransom letters are multiple people. But please, please, please don't forget that Derek Kallela also sent a text message, which is essentially equivalent to a ransom, that said, we're getting tired. Where's our Bitcoin? You know, that's me paraphrasing. So Vicky just became a new member. Welcome to the Crime Crew Official. All right. Thank you, sir. I'm going to play this and I'll take a look.
This suspect. And at first I was like, oh, it definitely has to be someone that Nancy Guthrie knows, someone that she knows personally. Now, I don't think so. And I'm frustrated. Tell us more, because the community could be in danger.
Elizabeth, the other thing, looking at the 2 images, if the one without the backpack is beforehand, it would seem if he made a prior trip there, he would have been more prepared for the camera, which he didn't seem to be so prepared for at the time.
Exactly. Are we all that? Now, look at this. I'm going to drop this down for a second and show you something, because you're right. Flojo TV, that's interesting. That picture is very interesting. Luke was in a car crash recently, could have hurt his leg and right hand. Here's another thing that's interesting about Luke. Like, he's very believable, but why does his eyes look... Okay, let me do this. Let me do this before I jump too far. Okay, take a look at this. Let me open this up a little so you can kind of see. There's a little bit more color. Some of it's AI, the ones with the color, but we've also seen the dark ones down here. And we looked at eyes, right? We even looked at Annie's eyes, and we compared it from Annie's eyes to one of the people were like, oh, it kind of looks like it could be a female. But check out these pictures that Flojo TV just sent me. Nina Hund, thank you so much for the gifted membership. If you guys received a membership, please thank her. Now look, so they think it's from they do say it's from a different night. 110%, which would mean that somebody cased the house on a different night. But did they forget there was a working camera and they had to get shrubbery in order to cover it? All right, let me remove this for a second. I don't want my face that big. And let me share this with you real quick. And, you know, it's call-in night. So call-in equivalent to emailing me and getting this started. So these pictures are from the night. You got to remember, Luke was not arrested. He was detained. However, it looks like I'm seeing a handcuff there. Right? Am I looking at a handcuff or is he wearing a bracelet? Because they called him detained and released, but not arrested. And then you look here and I see why are his eyes this color? And when I look at his eyes being that color, they then look like the eyes of Annie. When we paid attention to Annie, okay, pay attention to his hands in the photo compared to the hands with the gloves. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. But also, you got to notice the eyes. Those eyes, look at them. Those eyes match almost similar to also, Mab sent me a picture with this guy and a ski mask, and it matched those eyes. And his eyes aren't even that damn color. What is he doing? Yes, Kalela sent the text message after the family media. Okay, let's take a look at his hands, Flojo. That's what I'm going to look at. His eyes stood out to me, but are you talking about how he's holding his hands like this? Is that what you're talking about? Look at the hand right there. How it's like how he's holding his hands earlier or at the camera. But again, why these damn eyes? He put contacts on. Did he put the contacts on that night to disguise himself? Also. He looks much different there with green or yellow, greenish, whatever eyes versus this one. Let's go back to his hands. All right. So he's saying pay attention to the hands. All right. Hid his hand, swollen. Cop looked at it. His interview with his eyes were different and he was fatter, you say. But yeah, I mean, all we're doing is just speculating here. There's nothing that we can say about that. All right. I don't got the phone line open yet, but if you do want to call in Flojo TV, I'd be happy to have you call in. But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. You know, his hand is like the way it is in the video. He's holding it. It's all thick and like fat. It doesn't have gloves on it, but it looks like the doubled up on gloves picture. But then those eyes are killing me because those eyes are not the same eyes as in the other. Was he wearing contacts that night? I don't know. All right, let's continue back what we're doing. Thank you for that. His hand, they look swollen, like he's wearing a multiple pair of gloves. I 110% agree with you on that. Let's go back to his hand. His hand does look all swollen, and everybody was questioning about the gloves. And did he have 3 pairs of gloves on? Very, very unlikely that he had 3 pairs of gloves. Right hand swollen. He has skinny legs. Bitch, it's Colin. You got the phone lines closed. They're closed because we're not there yet. I can open the phone lines. Where you been, bish? Bish fisted. All right, I'll open the phone line. I'll open it. If you guys want to call in. I mean, I didn't want to interrupt, but you know, if you guys want to call in, go for it. There it is. All right, and the pinky ring for sure. Oh yeah, I forgot about the pinky ring. Thanks for reminding me about that. I don't see a pinky ring on his finger there, but I hear you. All right, so that's that we're looking at. Let me pull this down so I don't like give away information. And if anyone wants to call in, the phone line's open. So I didn't see a tattoo. It was way too dark in that picture to actually see if there was a tattoo. All right, phone lines are open. So if you guys want to call in, you have a thought, an idea, go for it.
That he's wearing the backpack, that he's almost
not surprised, but not prepared to deal with it, and is like, going and literally diving into the weeds trying to do something with this camera. What are your thoughts about the two different images of the suspect?
Are we sure that it's even the same person? Could that be two different people?
Why do they always have? And I'm not hating at all, but this is hillbilly true crime. Do I need to start calling Court TV up? Do I need to email Court TV and say, listen, Court TV, I am knee deep in these cases. You need to have me on there. All right, let's see who it is before I share anything. All right. All right. Okay. James, where are you calling from? And yeah, where are you calling from? All right, let me put you up there, otherwise nobody can hear you. And let's hear what you got to say. It's Colin tonight. All right, you are on. What do you got?
All right. Well, the first thing is talking about the ransom letter.
Okay.
And one of the things, and I'm just curious to see what your take is as well, but it didn't sound to me like they actually ever wanted to comply, like the family didn't want to comply with what the letters asked. Is that what your take was?
Yeah, well, here's my take on this, and I've heard it from Savannah and from people that are, all the experts. Here's what happened. Savannah did want to comply, and Savannah was ready to pay on day one. She would have just transferred $1 million in Bitcoin, no questions asked. But FBI, or maybe not FBI, because FBI wasn't involved yet. Law enforcement, Pima County said, if you pay that ransom right now, you're not going to ever see your mom. And that $2,500 reward garbage that they had, was it 25 or 25,000? That garbage reward was also law enforcement. Okay, so now go ahead.
All right. So with the ransom, was it your impression, and this is just out of curiosity, because I was thinking what they wanted her to do was to say that you go ahead and you pay the ransom, and after you pay it, then we'll make Nancy available to you. Is that pretty much your take of what they wanted to happen?
That it sounds like that's what they wanted to happen, but then it sounds like the family came back with, no, you send us a proof of life and then we'll comply with you. Right?
So that's where I'm going with this.
Right.
So it pretty much sounds like what they wanted to happen is, we're going to set up this Bitcoin address. We want you to send a payment to that address.
Right.
And after you do, we will then make Nancy available to you. That's kind of what it sounded like.
100%.
But what the family went ahead and did was said, and this is where I'm thinking, this is where I'm going with this, is that the FBI got with them and said, well, listen, we can't have you going through TMZ or some other third party. We need them to speak to you directly. And we can tap your phones. We can do whatever we need to do to find out where they're calling you from, how they're contacting you.
Right.
But we need you to make a plea to them so that they can do that. And the only way to do it is to cut out the middleman so that they have to, contact you directly. So if you say to them, please contact us, blah, 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 that maybe we can make it happen. But the point I'm bringing up is that when they did that, they were not complying with the ransom demand. Is that your?
You're 100% true, and I don't think it was because Savannah didn't want to, because Savannah's the one with the money. Essentially, it's not because they didn't want to. It's because law enforcement, and you got to remember, hostage negotiators and all that team came in. All right, they came in and they know the strategies. They helped them, in my opinion, and from what I've heard, they helped the family to write that note. That's why they were reading a note, the plea to the, quote unquote kidnappers. So yeah, there was a strategy, but I think the strategy came from law enforcement and not from Savannah and the family. That's my take.
And
on
so
it.
Sure. And so even if it was, the family went ahead and followed it. And maybe the ransomers said, if the ransomers are real, they said, well, all right, if you're not going to comply and do it our way, then it's over and we're not going to be responding anymore. But
maybe
the main reason why I brought it up is because the ransom letters, we wanted to talk about the ransom letters.
Right.
And
yeah.
for the FBI to say to the family, we're going to coach you, we're going to help you respond, we're going to tell you what we think you should say, is basically what that meant was that when they read the ransom letters, they said, okay, well, there's certain information in here that only the abductor knows.
Right.
And so because of that, we feel comfortable telling the family, go ahead, let's prepare the statement, let's get it ready, tell them that you're ready to pay.
Right.
We're going to have to say proof of life because we're not going to say, go ahead and put your money out there without having the body or having the mother.
Yeah,
right?
you'll never hear from them again. And it could have been a hoax. They also said that they thought it was more than one person writing these notes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So the where I'm going with this is because this whole thing is premised on the fact of, okay, are the ransom letters credible or have they been debunked?
They have not been debunked. Yeah, they haven't been debunked.
And so this is where I'm feeling that the ransom is legitimate and that what really happened, this is just we're getting into more of opinions now.
Yeah,
is that,
it's all good.
Yep. So the ransom letter was, they put them out there, and what they got back was, well, you contact us and you give us proof of life, and they're thinking, well, that's not what we were trying to negotiate here. And so soon after, whether they intended or not, Nancy did pass.
Right.
And soon after that, the video footage was released on camera. And as soon as they saw that, they thought to themselves, okay, we've got a couple options here. Number one, they haven't detected us so far. Number two, now they did say that we'll give you money basically if you just give us a body, just let us celebrate with our.
Yeah, it changed.
Right?
It changed from a ransom. Yeah, it went from a ransom to a reward, which signals to me that she's no longer alive, and they know that.
And so even then that we know that the individuals involved could have said to themselves, well, all we really need to do is take the body somewhere and maybe partially cremate it out in the desert so it leaves as little evidence as possible, but they can still identify it. And we'll just, call them and say, go to this place and we'll, cash in. But they didn't do that. Or nobody has done it.
Nope.
And you would think that the reason why is out of fear of getting caught. Because they're like, if we try to move on this and try to, collect something, something's going to give. So that's the other part of the theory I wanted to tell you. I don't want to burn up too much time, but there was a other part of the theory that I wanted to say about why nobody has stepped up.
110%. I think that they, the longer it went on, and they realized, but I do agree with you to an extent. But at the same time, why did they, if they were worried about getting caught so much, why didn't they put the ransom directly to Savannah or even Annie and Tomaso? Why did they go to TMZ or the news outlet? You're going to immediately get all eyes on you. Why would they have done that?
Well, because if the house was bugged, if it was not safe for them to reach out to that house directly, because they could have any means of technology, So, but by keeping it, it's the same reason why you wouldn't leave a ransom note necessarily in the house, because that's evidence that you're leaving behind.
Right. And in this day and age, we got to think of it a little differently with technology, right? It's not old school anymore where you write a hand note.
Right. So, the other thing about it is that we've got $1 million sitting out there right now. Right. And for most people, especially if you have a criminal background, life maybe is not looking the best for you. And,
Right,
you know,
right.
because maybe you don't have regular employment, whatever the case is, you know, most people are going to turn on somebody else for $1 million. They are.
110%. That's what they're trying to do right now. And especially
So
if there are more than one person, someone's going to flip.
So I got a theory on it.
Okay,
And this is as to why no one has flipped.
Okay.
So if we think about, like, so there's a lot of different scenarios that people will propose, and they'll say, well, it could be Luke, it could be Tommaso, it could be Annie, it could be somebody associated with the family, right? And this is where they'll say, it's like almost it has to be, because the odds would say that this has to be somebody that the family knows. But if we think about it the other way around, if you're a criminal and you want to do a crime, you're going to say, well, in this day and age, if I'm linked to this family in any way, even if my digital footprint has been around there in the last 2 months or 6 months, that I could be linked. But if I have no link to this family at all, that they do not know me whatsoever, that I happen to see them on Good Morning America or Today Show or wherever, and see the woman come on there, and maybe I'm a local in Tucson, and I know, but they don't have any link to me at all. And so as a criminal, I might say, well, this looks like something that I could do, because there's no ties to me. And so this is the first stage of it. But the second is that, so if there's 2 people involved yet, or so let's just say if there were multiple people involved, we might want to say that with that many linkages, that somebody would turn.
Right.
So if we go down to the smallest number before we get to 1, it's 2.
Right.
And so even if we go to 2 and we say, all right, what are the odds that if it's 2 people that don't know each other at all, they're not related, what are the odds that one might turn on the other?
Right.
Probably pretty good.
Real good. Yeah, real good.
Because I don't know you.
Right.
You know, if stuff comes down, you're not blood. I don't know who you are, you know, in the long and thick. I'm going to save my own skin.
Right.
But
and that would be a theory of somebody that covets the family. They don't have ties to the family, but sees Savannah, goes to the same restaurant, you know, just kind of knows how they move, but zero connection. And maybe that's why they didn't send a message directly to Savannah originally, because they didn't want, because maybe then they would be like, oh, it's easier to track it directly to Savannah. Or if they are connected to the family, it's hard to talk to somebody that, especially they know how you talk in your language. You know what I mean? Like if you said something to a cousin of yours that you hadn't talked to in years, you can still kind of tell how they talk, you know, how they end
100%.
stuff. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, if this is 75 to 90% chance in someone that the family knows, they wouldn't want to reach out to the family because they know who the hell it was. So they went to the local news stations and TMZ instead. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
That's what I was thinking too. So, I mean, I got 2 theories, and those are it. It's either somebody that is coveting the family and knows the area, and maybe we're not going to find a tie to them, or it's someone really close, and it's like a family member or a spouse.
Well, I think if it's 2 people, that what it is, and this is again just a theory, that, you know, if we say to ourselves, okay, that was a male on the porch, that like if we go and we say like, okay, let's just assume that it's true that really is a male.
Right.
And then we take it a step further and we say that there was 2 people to do it. And okay, well, what is the probability that the other person is a male? Well, probably it is. So if it's 2 males, you know, and I'm getting at it, like, so if they're not related to each other, there's a likely that one is going to snitch for the million on the other. But if they're related, if they're 2 brothers, if they say to that, well, we're brothers, we've known each other our whole lives, and we planned this out. We might even live together, and we're not going to tell on each other because we're tight. We're thicker than thieves. And so this is my theory about the, not necessarily Menendez brothers, so to speak, but it's this, it's the brothers who basically are unbreakable on the $1 million. They won't put a price on family because they're like, well, we set this out to do this for the $1 million. The woman died. She, kicked the bucket on us and we didn't expect it. Now the footage is out there and we think that we could get busted if we try to pursue this. And so we'll just back off and let it go away, which would be like the ransom and cold feet. Go ahead.
Right. No, that's true. I'm because I can't think of any other reason. And we'll wrap this up in just seconds. I want to give anyone else a chance. I don't want to bore them to death. But,
yes, ma'am.
So I asked the question, Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. Why is no one talking about the ransom demand? Why are there no more demands? And I mean, that's a good assumption what you're saying. They tried to do the demand. They sent several. It didn't work. And now they're like, shit. We're going to back off of this. They don't have a body. They don't have evidence. We're just going to slowly move away. We botched it. We're done. But at least we're not going to prison. Right?
And exactly. And that they're not going to snitch, because my theory is that they're either cousins or they're brothers and they're not going to tell. If it was somebody else, they'd probably snitch. If there was more than 2 people, then they'd snitch. But this is what makes me think it's a small number and they're related.
Right. And people always turn. It doesn't matter if it's a family member or a husband or wife, but maybe in this situation, there's no way to get out of that. If you had the guy sitting in the car waiting for you, or you had the guy in the back of the house and he helped carry her out, the other guy's you go ahead and try to get the $1 million. That guy's gonna roll on right back on you as soon as you get him arrested. He's gonna say, hey, bro, my brother or whatever did this with me. He was driving the car. I can prove it. You know what I mean?
And I thought about this 10 ways of Sunday. I just feel that if it was somebody that was connected to the family, they would have sniffed it out with the geofencing and the polygraphs by now.
Maybe, but they also found DNA evidence in the house that they said only would link back to somebody that should be there. And then there's another one that's mixed with it. So I don't know, man. Again, we're all just speculating. We know nothing more. We know nothing more. We know nothing more than we did, 30 days ago, I think, right? On day 4, when the images came out, we've only learned a couple more things, and that's it.
Yeah, they've piecemealed us, that's for sure. But I don't want to take up the other callers, but it has been a great pleasure talking to you, and just wonderful, and you're just fun to talk to.
Thank you so much. What was your name again, and where are you calling from?
My name is James, and I'm calling from Michigan.
James from Michigan. God bless you, and thank you so much. Keep on coming back, all right? We enjoy your conversation.
You got it. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Hey, it's been awesome. You know what's funny, guys? Ladies, gentlemen, we don't have a lot of males. If you look at if I look at the community and I see how many females we have in the community and how many males, you guys would be surprised. It's like 80% women, 10% men, and the other 1%, we don't know. So I'm glad. That was nice. I just got, all right, who's calling now? Let's see. All right, let's remove this. All right. It's loud. Can you lower the background a little? And what's your name and where are you from? Okay, that's cool.
Too loud in the background or not?
I know you're good.
So let me get out of here.
All right.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, a little bit. What your name is and you're calling from where?
Mo.
Mo, okay.
It's Mo from Reno.
Hey, Mo from Reno. What's up? What do you got?
I never know if you guys can hear me because I'm always at work when you're live streaming, so I have to check the volume behind me first.
No, I can hear you. What do you got?
So, 2 theories that I have. I don't know who kidnapped her. I have no clue what's going on with that. But let me get it quieter for it. But my theory of where she is,
right?
You know what I mean? I have 2. So I think that she was gone before the first ransom letter was even received. If you remember that Exxon president that was kidnapped, what is it, 76?
Right. I
And
don't.
he had his
That's like
well, he had a routine.
Yeah.
He had a routine every single day to go out to the parking, to the driveway and get his newspaper.
Right.
And the people that kidnapped him were 3 rich kids, completely random. He just had a routine.
Right. Which is a possibility. Huge possibility. Yes.
So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it could have been somebody, like everyone's been saying, who caught on to her routine, whether it was the roofers, whether it was the church people, whether it was the Amazon delivery driver.
100%.
Someone caught on to her routine.
100%. The moment they said back, she's lived there since 1975, goes to the same restaurant her and Savannah love, does the same church routine since COVID, and it doesn't matter if it's church routine with friends at their house, at church, whatever it may be, right? Whether she goes out and
dinner with her daughter and son-in-law,
Right. Yeah. And I'm 100% with that. You see, those are my 2 things that I'm bouncing. There's 2 things. It's either totally in their inner circle, or it's somebody that just watched the routine day in and day out. And I tell my mom that. I tell my mom, please be careful, because she likes to go walk and hike and all that. I'm like, try to switch it up, because people will watch your routine. I tell her that. I say people will watch your freaking routine and do something like that. So anyway, yeah, I mean.
So with that, again, with the Exxon president, there was a struggle, and he was shot during that struggle, and he passed away 3 days later, like in a box.
Right.
So I think as of leaving that house, she was alive.
Right.
But afterwards she passed, and it was before that first ransom letter. They were just pulling at strings. I think that once she passed away, everybody that was involved took off like roaches.
Right.
And that's why you're getting a ransom note from here, a ransom note from here, people trying to distance themselves. She's gone. And I hope she finally find her body.
Me too. I'm right there with you, Mo. I really want justice for Nancy Guthrie. I really want her to be brought home. And I think that the family has accepted that she's probably no longer with us. But that makes a ton of sense. And I'm seeing people in chat too, like, hey, what if she scratched the heck out of him or did something and left DNA all under her nails? So they had to take the body. They didn't mean to kill her. But she did. She's more fragile than they realize. None of us knew that she had a pacemaker. Maybe somebody that covets her does. But you know what I'm saying?
Well, this is something that we forget about our elderly. They may be fragile, but they got a lot of wit. And you're not taking them down without a fight.
Oh,
not my grandma.
Not only that, but like, I mean, my mom's 71. She'll get her fist out and do whatever to a mofo that tries to, you know what I mean? It's like, it's my life or yours. And even if she's gonna lose her life, she's gonna go out with a fight.
Yeah, that's what they say. If anybody tries to come kidnap you, you stay right there. If you're gonna kill me, you're gonna kill me where I lie. Right. I don't want my family looking for my body.
But now the question is, where's the body, and who in the hell were those people asking for ransoms from these news stations? Are law enforcement getting closer to targeting them? Are they going to be fake like Derek Kalila? Do you think Derek?
I have no theories on that. I mean, it could be greedy people. It could be literally, like I said, everybody that was involved. I mean, there was just this new, not new, but recent, like Pino. What was it? Pino, who hired 2 separate, murder crews to kill his wife. And each of them had 4 people in the crew. You know what I mean? So
no, I do.
If it was something like murder for hire, or some people who, he's getting his buddy involved, he's getting his cousin involved with the theory of family members. There's family members in there. There's probably a certified career criminal in there. And it's just, pulling at strings right now. And that's why, the only theories I have is where she is at this point. So which comes to my lighthearted theory. This is the one I gave to my mom because she's pretty upset. Okay.
Right.
I was like, let's say somebody got her from Mexico, just like a guy trying to get some money right on the other side of the border there. They're right on the border of Mexico.
Right.
And he didn't expect it to get this big. He didn't have a clue. He doesn't watch American news TV that this lady was famous. Right.
Right.
He takes her into Mexico. There could be a fully stocked pharmacy in this small town. and he has to leave her there because what can he do now? Now he's got this lady that he kidnapped, and he doesn't want to kill her, but ain't nobody gonna give no money and not follow through to find out who you are. They're gonna trace that money. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that.
That was my whole
You're not
point of
gonna get
this
away with it.
episode. We're calling this Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. Why is no one talking about the ransom demand? This is like if I'm telling you, hey Mo, I'm going to eat at the Shake Shack right now. That's where I'm going to eat, is at the Shake Shack. And then I call you after and you're like, hey Jay, what did you eat at the Shake Shack? And I'm like, what? What food, huh? I didn't even Shake Shack. Oh yeah, Shake Shack. And I just kind of like blow it off. Eating at the Shake Shack implies that you ordered food to eat. Kidnapping requires something that you're not going to just kidnap somebody for nothing and ask for a ransom and then not follow through. So how is it even a kidnapping for ransom if no one's talking about the ransom or demanding anything? So that's what I'm saying.
Totally,
it doesn't make sense.
Which totally just reminds me with that Exxon kidnapping, they also forgot to leave a dang ransom letter. These fools were so slow that they were like, they had them go pick it up and it was hanging in a tree at a mall or some random ass stuff. Like, excuse my language, but
so that means it was the afterthought. They went and did that. They went and put that in. Like, oh damn! And this time, maybe we
got this whole man and no ransom note.
Yeah, but look at this guy. This dude comes up with the freaking shrubs. Somebody was there looking at the place the night before, and he uses freaking like shrubbery. So I mean, him not leaving a note and then saying, shit, what's the best way I can get it to Savannah? Oh, the news media, right? So I don't know. I mean,
I don't even think it got to the ransom. I think she passed as they were, after they were trying to take her.
Well, 110%, because I think they would have sent a proof of life. If she was alive, they would have happily sent a picture, give me my damn money, and let's run as fast as we can with that damn Bitcoin wallet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and if I know she needs medication, I'm taking this picture while she's still coherent right away.
Right. But they messed up. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna, I appreciate you calling in. I don't want
appreciate you too. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you soon. CrimeCon.
CrimeCon, baby. Happy Friday.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, this is fun, guys. All right, let's finish up this. I can't believe we've been here for 3 hours and 24 minutes. You guys are making me, look at y'all, they're making me do. Oh, I better pull that down. My bad. Those have numbers, but they're all just like Google Voice. All right, let's continue because we haven't even got to about the ransom note. And that was, look at that Vinny face. I got to look at that. Damn, you guys are awesome. I do forget how much I love call-ins. I do think that she passed shortly after as well, or they probably would have showed a proof of life. I think the body was disposed because the kidnappers worried about the transfer of DNA. Yeah, I didn't even think about her just completely going buck wild and fighting back, and then them being like, we can't leave her here. Ebony, how you doing? This sounds awful, but what if they drove her into the desert and let her out like they do in the movies, knowing she'd likely succumb to elements? And I mean, that could be possible too. Why can't we find her body? She'd be kind of in walking distance. Krista wants me to give out the book. All right, we're almost done, and then I'll give away a book. I'm sorry. Bitcoin is 100% trackable, but we don't want them to know that. Maybe they didn't realize it until they heard it on the news. All right. Much love to you, Ebony. I'm going to finish this and we'll give away a book. All right. I didn't even realize we were here almost 3.5 hours, guys. I apologize to my mods. Let's continue.
Somewhat similar, although you can't see the lining around the eyes. To me, that appears the same. The build seems kind of the same. Are you seeing differences here, Elizabeth?
Well, I just think that the body looks different. The one on the right, to me, looks older than the one on the left. But that's my brain. My brain works a lot different than other people's, they say. I tend to notice patterns more than I do anything else. And, this whole case is just very frustrating. I think the way that it was handled at the beginning was just very confusing. I think you had people that didn't want to step on each other's toes, and, didn't really take it real serious and urgent at the beginning. And then now that this has all came up with, you've got men in ski masks on her front porch, this has turned out to be one heck of a mystery.
Lauren, and it's just a still image, right?
All right, we're almost done with this, and we're going to give away a book. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. I got to give the members perks. We have not had a members only, like where it's just complete. We've had members only chats, but we haven't had just a straight up, you can't watch my show if you're not, if you're not a member. So guys, I do got to put that as, you got to be in the US and you got to be a member. All right. Last time I gave away to anybody and everybody, didn't Hillbilly True Crime, Hillbilly True Crime started almost after I did, and she picked up the case of the sheriff that shot the judge, and then she skyrocketed in subscribers, and she's been on Court TV several times. So it's interesting. All right, let's continue. I'm glad you're still here, Sadie's mama. Time does fly. We have not done a stream this long in forever.
Without the backpack, if there was video of that, I think it would make things even clearer. And I'm wondering, do you think it exists, the video, or do you think they were only able to extract the still image?
Oh no, Vinny, you know there's video. There is video, and I firmly believe that is the same guy. I think it's the same build, like you said. To me, it actually looks like he just switched coats, and that was that. He got rid of.
Then when I look at it further, now I can see the line across it, and it looks like the same damn jacket. Although, even if this is the same person, I still think, like Flojo said, where is the perp stepping from? He's absolutely coming from a car. There's got to be a vehicle there. There's got to be a vehicle that they use to get there and to get away. All right. You really need to get on Court TV, right? Hey, man. Wyatt says, that's right. Kentucky. This Jay. Thank you, Wyatt. Always a pleasure. All right. So again, you can look at this two different ways, but if this is the same guy, he's just a dum-dum, because why didn't he notice the camera was there before? He did. Did he forget? What happened? But this one, he doesn't have a weapon right here. So we do have to say that's another night. And this one, he has that dumb weapon the way he's carrying
obviously the equipment. So I think it's very possible this was the same day, a few hours apart. And like I said, he could have stashed that stuff. He could have thrown it in a car. I still believe that more than one person did this. Maybe he pushed the stuff off on somebody else. But I really want to see him walk. I feel like something very important to investigators, is mannerisms of these suspects. And so if we could see more on that video of him walking and his mannerisms, maybe somebody in the area would say, you know what, that kind of looks like my kid's teacher, or, whatever. Sorry. So I go back to saying they're sharing things with us, but just not things that I find to be important to the investigation. I mean, talking about the glove that actually matches the DNA of a restaurant worker, it's like, okay, didn't you guys say that this is going to take almost a year, months, whatever? It's like, I hate to come down on the people that protect us. So I
look at their faces. Vinny's like, I'm tired, and this lady's like, this one's off the chain. This lady's like me. She's like, I'm excited. Oh man,
don't want to do that. But I feel like I kind of already did.
It has gone unsolved, and it's over a month, and it was an abduction, so time was very important in all of this.
Yeah.
It's good news. Elizabeth and Lauren staying with us. Coming up next, why haven't we heard anything more about the ransom?
All right, and that's the last part, and we'll give away a book.
Was talking about this and thought this was an abduction for money.
Yeah, so we know that Nancy was reported missing on February 1st. 2 days later, on the 3rd, a ransom note is sent out to multiple media outlets, including TMZ. They were demanding millions in Bitcoin. Take a listen to the FBI during a press conference addressing these ransom letters.
We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously.
There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different? Or do you think there's different authors behind all of them? Or...
So the one that went to the media is the one we're currently investigating and working on.
So you notice how he didn't answer if there's multiple authors of those letters? I agree. I absolutely think there is. And right now he's talking he didn't answer the question, but he isolated that one ransom note to the one that they're working on. I know there was like a third ransom note that came into TMZ, and TMZ said it didn't look like anybody they recognize. And then you got to think there's a third person, Derek Colella, that sent that text message. So you got three different people possibly writing these things.
The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. And we believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case.
Now listen, the imposter he's talking about is Derek Colella, the one that asked him about Bitcoin.
It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
Total
All
imposter.
right, so they arrested an imposter trying to take advantage of the situation, but you heard him there say that initial ransom letter, that's the one they were taking seriously. Now, the thing about that letter is that it had a deadline, Vinny. It had a deadline of 5 p.m. February 5th, that same day that press conference took place. Now, I mentioned that letter was sent to TMZ. Take a listen to TMZ founder Harvey Levin on Fox News' Hannity talking about how Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie's daughter, knew about the demands of this ransom letter. Take a listen.
She knows exactly what the demand is. And so they are, through us telling the family, and obviously the sheriff's department gave the family the letter we received, exactly what they're demanding. And they're saying that Nancy is aware of it.
All right, and TMZ also.
And see, we don't even know what that is because they didn't want to let it out there. That way, if there was an imposter, then they wouldn't be able to say the same things that the initial one was saying, which rightfully so. What's up, Michelle? My bail. All right, TMZ, the ransom note received. The note, which was sent on Tuesday morning, demands a specific substantial amount of Bitcoin. The amount is in the millions, and the note demands a cryptocurrency. Remember, it went from 2 million to 4 million and then 6 million. And now we're at 1 million, not as a ransom, but as a reward. All right, they geofenced Colella for months. I'm sure they did. But if there's 2-3 people, they don't even have to be on site. They can just be involved and feeding them her address, her whereabouts, her movements. And by the way, there's still 222 people in chat. You guys know that's an angel number. Please say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home soon to her family, whether she passed or not. All right. Imposter. Yes, I have. And if you go to the very beginning of the episode, you'll see that I showed all of that and my theory.
TMZ also put this statement out saying, quote, the note, which was sent to us Tuesday morning,
we just did that.
Again, this doesn't make sense. Cody, great work tonight. Thanks. Right? Okay, there's a note. We're taking it seriously.
Thank you.
Then there's a response from the family saying, we will pay. The deadline's coming up. And then nothing. That brings us to the final question in our investigation this hour.
Interesting.
Why haven't we heard anything more about the ransom? It's as if it never even happened.
Right.
Right where we are now. It's like the ransom is an afterthought. Joining me, host of the true crime podcast, Pretty Lies and Alibis, is Gigi McKelvey, and still with us, Lauren Conlon. All right, Gigi, what are your thoughts here? Why haven't we heard more about the ransom, and why did the...
Then we'll wrap this up. We're almost there, guys. Thank you for hanging in there. We've been here for a long time. Happy Friday.
And it was as if it never happened.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I think personally, if they discredited that ransom note, we probably would have heard about it. So to me, that leaves two options. Number one, either they have not traced where this came from. And I say in that case, go online and get some of these 15-year-old hackers that have shut down like Xbox for 2 weeks. They're really good at it. The other thing is maybe there is something there that they don't want to make public, and they're just following that lead. But otherwise, it really seems like it just stopped being talked about at really a critical time, because it was out there that these ransom notes were coming. We would see that the investigators would go to the house after ransom notes. I thought, were there clues left behind that were validating these? But yeah, Vinny, I mean, I have no clue. Hopefully we'll hear something soon.
Lauren, what's your theory here? What are your thoughts about...
Where's the ransom
note?
note?
About the ransom. That was and I remember how big it was, and I knew that weekend something was gonna happen. Savannah makes the video, we will pay. There seemed to be an acknowledgement of all this. The deadline was on Monday. The deadline came, it went.
It went. I mean, it's definitely similar. We don't see big kidnapping, ransom situations often. The last time I remember was the John Benet Ramsey one, and that was totally fraudulent because she was already dead in their own house where law enforcement didn't look. So I don't know. I don't know. All speculative now.
And nobody said anything. Nobody acknowledged it. We've heard from the family subsequently. No mention of the ransom notes at all. What's going on here?
I mean, I think there was a progression where at one point we and the investigators as well did think that the ransom notes and the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie were and are connected. And maybe investigators still feel that way, Vinny, but I do not. I think that these are two parallel investigations. I think Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping is one and the ransom notes are another. I believe that these notes were from an opportunist who took advantage of the situation.
Wow.
They didn't come through right away. And I know there have been other high profile kidnappings where the ransom note is not there immediately. It takes 1 to 2 days, but it just didn't make sense the way that Harvey Levin described the notes. You know, he said they were meticulous, and I know that it wasn't AI, and the crime scene itself was not meticulous. That didn't make sense to me. It didn't really add up. Also, I felt like, you know, I mean,
so she thinks this is two different situations. The first one meaning it had nothing to do with money, which would mean that it was just out of pure anger or some kind of like stalker or someone coveting it and wanting to hurt the family. And then the afterthought. Treasure Trunk says it's almost my bedtime. Awesome stream, Jay. Thank you. And Carol, you're welcome for the membership. All right, let's wrap this up.
when I go back to thinking about how at one point, I do think that investigators were taking this very, very seriously because of the way that Savannah responded. Do you remember when she said that line from Silence of the Lambs? I still get chills. There's literally a line that she said, and you know the FBI probably fed this to her because it's just scripted somewhere, but there's a line where she says, talk to her and you'll see something about her kindness. But
oh yeah, they did a word for word, and they use that in the Silence of the Lamb abduction. So I believe FBI did step in and help them write it because of that.
it was so eerie.
Okay,
But no, at
good,
this
maybe.
point, I think we're talking about two different investigations, and Harvey Levin also, you know, it's not his fault, but he kind of was becoming a joke on the internet. People were putting him in sheriff's outfits and saying that he inserted himself in the investigation. And at one point, Harvey just goes, you know what? I'm not going to say anything else about these notes. I'm not going to say anything more. And whether that was his decision or law enforcement said, okay, shut up, I'm not sure. But that's how I feel.
Yeah, well, he didn't insert himself. The letters came to him. I mean, it's like he was brought into this. Gigi, do you think we'll hear anything more about any of these communications?
I hope so. But, you know, I mean, I do agree with Lauren. It's kind of like if they were really valid, I think we would know by now. But then at the same time, I'm like, if they weren't, would they just not want to come out with that? I mean, look, the bottom line is we find out who did this and find out what happened to Nancy. And I think that after that, maybe the ransom notes, you know, maybe they'll say they were real, they weren't, but it just went silent. And that makes me wonder what the heck is going on. But I've also wondered that for 4 weeks now, Benny.
Yeah, and when you talk about, you know, 80.
Me too. I've wondered that since the very beginning when nothing ever happened. The ransom note came and gone. By day 4, by day 2, I don't think she was alive. I think she might have survived getting out of the house. Remember, she had blood drops, and people are saying that they don't think it was a cough. They think they were trying to come out of the door and they were carrying her. Maybe she was fighting and you know, something, they hit her in the nose, or I don't know. Where's Crime Con? In Vegas. All right, let's continue. Because we can speculate all night long, and I gotta feed the beast. It's almost 8 o'clock here in San Jose, guys. I don't think I've streamed this long in like a year and a half.
4 years old. She has a pacemaker. Savannah referenced that she's always in a lot of pain. There were some medications that were left behind, and here we are a month later. Is ransom even relevant at this point? Although Savannah and the family seem that, you know, they're offering the $1 million reward for the return of Nancy, and the implication was whether she's, you know, still alive or if she isn't, they still want to be reunited with mom. Gigi McKelvey, Pretty Lies and Alibis, Lauren Conlin, Los Angeles Magazine. Thank you both so much. All right, why was she taken is still unknown and may never be known. Sometimes a motive leads to a suspect. For instance, Scott Peterson cheating on Lacey or Alec Murdaugh's financial meltdown. But in this case, it looks like we will need a suspect before we can figure out the motive. Let's just hope that day happens soon. I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the
All right, guys, we are about to give away, and you guys are awesome, man. There's still 226 people, almost 4 hours later. If I didn't have a full-time job, guys, I would probably be streaming all damn day. So be lucky that I work during the day. All right, you can clearly see she was reading. Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw that from the get-go. Phone lines are now closed. We got a few good calls in, and now we're about to give out a copy of my signed book, Reason 111 Why I'm Gay. All right, so if you get that gay vibe from Jay at Guilty of Crime, yeah, you're right. And here's my book. I wrote about it. Not only did I write about my personal life, but it also can help others to know about it. You have a daughter, a niece, a cousin, a whatever. There's a ton of illustrations in here, a lot of humor. So I think you want to get it. You can buy one if you want, but I'm giving one away right now, signed. So let's do this so we can get out of here and I can feed the beast. That's me. I'm the beast. We got to feed me. Well, and baby Guilty. I don't know where Mrs. Guilty is. I don't know if she's home or what, but you know. All right, let's go. Loading the comments, hit that like button, subscribe, get a membership, all the things. All right. What is this? What the heck? I've never even seen this one before. What? Oh, I guess it's new. All right. 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. Let's go. Crime Con, Caesar Palace in Vegas. All right. Husky Lover. Did Husky Lover, number 1, are you here? And number 2, why do I feel like Husky Lover won recently? I don't know. Are you still here, Husky Lover? I actually didn't see you yeah, you are here and you are in the green. Does anyone remember if Husky Lover, I'm glad Mrs. Guilty, Baby Guilty, share you love your, okay, so you just won my book and Husky Lover is in green. So Husky Lover, you just won my book, a signed copy of my book. I don't think that you won this before. Otherwise you wouldn't want another copy. So congratulations, Husky Lover. I've got it ready to go. I haven't signed these ones yet. My other ones are signed and shipped. I've got 2 left. Now you just took my last one. So listen up, Husky Lover. Do me a favor and email me and get your copy. It's guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. Everybody else, come back next week. We are Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll have more updates on the Nancy Guthrie case, as well as the little girls in the suitcase, Lindsay Clancy, and so much more. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. Husky Lover, if you want to pick up that copy, I'll mail it off to you next week. Send me an email, guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. Guys, I'm out of here. Love you all, and thank you. And yes, The Jab, you can absolutely buy the book. It's $19.99 on Amazon. Let me, does anyone have a copy of that link? I'll get you guys a link. I dropped the link a little earlier. It used to be $29.99 and I dropped it to $19.99. You could also get it for free, I think, on Kindle, but of course it's not as good as this. So there you go. There's the link. It's on Amazon, guys. You can just go buy it on Amazon. It's literally called, if you just type in Reason 111, you'll find it on Amazon. All right, guys, free shipping, all of the above. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. And I'm so grateful for all you. Hype my videos if you can, and have a wonderful night. Mwah. Love you all. See you next week. Bye.
Guilty of Crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of Crime.
Are you guilty of crime?